Come in. Welcome. I'm E.G. Marshall. Welcome to the world of terrifying imagination. To the world of enchantment, spells, bewitchery. These are all words from our childhood. Pleasant memories of nursery stories before bedtime. The dark side of magic we knew nothing of. And when we grew old enough to learn, dismissed as ignorance and superstition. But once again in our times, incantation, exorcism, and the haunting belief in demonic possession are alive and abroad. They are what this strange tale is about.
I tell you, Doctor, it's the God's honest truth. They brought the young man in on the rolling stretcher to the emergency room, and he had this big sort of dent in his head. Oh, he didn't look like he was breathing at all. There was me with me bucket and me pail trying to clean up. Just me and the young man on the stretcher and the old wino repeater we called PJ they brought in earlier, snoring and dribbling. And that's when it happened. Came right out of old PJ's mouth and across the room and right up the young man's nose, like that. With a burny, cindery smell, like the old scissor grinder's stone wheel used to make. Oh, a great black cloud with red eyes in the middle and a long forked tail. Oh, I'd take an oath of it on me mother's grave. It was the devil himself.
Our mystery drama, Possessed by the Devil, was written especially for the Mystery Theater by Ian Martin and stars Donald Buka. I'll be back shortly with Act One. From the beginnings of history, it is there in some form. Possession. The incubus who ravishes maidens while asleep. The succubus who tempts man into seduction in his dreams. The Dybbuk, that lost soul who dies before his time and is compelled to wander in space till he can steal a body to live out his allotted years. Fact? Superstition? Hallucination? Here is such a modern legend. You be the judge.
Okay, Doctor, an IV set up for old Wally Wino here, glucose, and start it right away.
Yes, Dr. Daniels.
Oh, he don't look like he's long for this world.
He hasn't got a cell he hasn't drowned in alcohol. His liver is like a washboard. But I'm not sure I concur with your diagnosis, Mrs. Gideon. Still, I don't know this time. Uh-oh, another emergency. And this is supposed to be the quiet hour.
Do you want me to get out for a while, Doctor? I'm near finished.
No, go ahead with your cleaning. Just don't get run over by the stretcher. Put him over here, boys. Now, what have you brought me this time?
Oh, you poor old souse. Dead to the world's the word for you, all right. You've got me sympathy. With my arthritis, many's the time I've been tempted to have a go at the hard stuff myself. Oh, but thanks to sweet Mary, she's held me back. A little sacramental wine to ease me bones keeps me going. I had a few tonight, I can tell you. Oh, but there's always them breath sweeteners to take it away, I hope.
Well, how's your patient, Mrs. Gideon?
Oh, Doctor, I hope he's not a Catholic. The father might never make it in time. How's yours?
Oh, mine's out of my league. What I need is a brain surgeon. Huh. Speak of the devil, Considine just walked past the door. Dr. Considine. Dr. Considine, sir, I've got an emergency here.
Mother of heaven. And me here alone with two near corpses. I didn't see it. I couldn't have. Oh, but I did. I seen it. Oh, the good saints preserve me.
Hey there, Mother. Well, where am I?
Oh, in the Mercy Hospital. Oh, you shouldn't be getting up.
Oh, ma'am, You're sure a different kind of nurse.
Oh, I'm no nurse. I'm the cleaning woman.
Oh.
And you hadn't oughtn't to be sitting up. Not with that clout on the head someone's after giving you.
Huh? What clout on the head?
Why, that great big dent as big as a soap plate they brought you in with.
What are you talking about?
I'm late for the operating room already.
Dr. Considine, he has a depressed skull fracture. I don't even know if he's still alive. Good Lord, what are you doing on your feet? Dr. Considine, will you help me get him back on the...
Hey, hold up. Wait a minute. Look, there's nothing wrong with me.
Mister, an ambulance just brought you in here with a skull fracture. You were out cold in deep shock.
But there's nothing wrong. There's nothing the matter with my head. Look.
Holy mother.
Excuse me, Mr.
Mike. Michael Damon.
Oh, well, I'm Dr. Considine, Chief of Neurological Surgery here at the hospital. Would you mind sitting down on this chair for a second and letting me check you out?
Oh, sure, Doc. Look, I've got to admit I don't remember how I got here to the hospital, so maybe you ought to have a look at me.
Mrs. Gideon, what's the matter with you? You look like you just saw a ghost.
It wasn't no ghost, sir.
Dr. Daniels, get over here.
Yes, sir.
Would you mind casting your eagle eye over the back of this young man's head and show me one scintilla of evidence of skull fracture or concussion?
Doctor, all I know is Jake Bronstein brought him in on the wagon and he had a decompressed area you could have laid your hand in.
That's right, sir. I saw it myself.
Someone here has been drinking. Daniels, look. If this is your idea of a joke, No, never mind. We'll discuss this later. Mr. Damon?
Yes, Doctor?
For your own protection as well as the hospital's, may I suggest that we take some x-rays of your head? Oh, nurse.
Yes.
You can let Dr. Daniels take over on the IV with the old man. And wheel Mr. Damon straight to x-ray. I want a full set of head plates.
Yes, Doctor.
Now, Mr. Damon, there are a couple of questions I'd like to ask you.
Excuse me, sir. Dad?
Mike, are you all right, son?
Oh, I feel fine, Dad, except for a headache. Oh, Dr. Considine, this is my father, Reverend Damon.
Oh, how do you do? Nurse, can we get going?
Yes,
Dad, what happened? How did I get here?
Well, perhaps you can explain, Reverend, as we walk along. I want to get to x-ray.
Well, I wish someone could explain to me what happened.
I can, sir.
Let me check the IV on old PJ. Wait a minute.
What is it, Doctor?
PJ here. He's bought it this time.
Oh.
This is not my night. We might have pulled him through. Oh, there's going to be the devil to pay around here.
Oh, you can say that again. It's the God's truth, Dr. Considine. Came right out of the old man's mouth and across the room and up the young man's nose like that, with a burning, cindery smell like the old scissor grinder's wheel used to make. A great black cloud with red eyes in the middle and a long forked tail. Oh, I'd taken off on me mother's grave. 'Twas the devil himself.
Yes, Mrs. Gideon, I think you can leave the medical discussion to us, and I'm sure you have important work waiting.
Oh, bless us. I left me pail and mop there. I hope nobody's been after stealing that mop. It had a brand new head on it.
Well, at least I know now where the smell of alcohol came from. I can't blame you for that, Daniels.
Sure.
But I just can't accept it. In an emergency room, you concentrate on a seemingly healthy patient while you lose a really sick old man.
PJ was a repeater, Doc. He's long overdue for uremic poisoning or cardiac arrest. But this young guy, Damon...
Well, complete your sentence.
I was just thinking... That magnificent body, physically way above par, and the injury I thought I saw, well, would have left him a vegetable for the rest of a long life if we'd pulled him through.
What injury?
That depressed fracture. Most of the brain should have been injured beyond repair.
You say what you thought you saw. Apparently you didn't see anything.
You heard Mrs. Gideon back me up, Doctor.
Come in.
Oh, it's the wet plates, Doctor, from X-ray.
Light up the viewing fields, Daniels, and let's have a good look. Satisfied?
Well, sir...
Oh, somebody gave him a knock on the head, all right. There's some exterior evidence of that, but of any fracture?
None I can see.
Well, you're the doctor of record. Shall we send him home?
I see no reason not to.
Okay. Now I'd better get up to OR. Coming! Trudy!
Well, don't look so disappointed, Rod.
Come in. Say, sweetheart, what are you doing here at this hour?
Oh, I couldn't sleep after your call, so I drove over. Is Mike back from the hospital?
No, I thought the bell was Dad and Mike. They're on the way home right now.
How come you didn't go to the hospital?
Well, we've been trying to get in touch with Anton Azarak.
Oh?
So Dad thought one of us should be here in case he called back.
Oh.
I mean, to find out what happened. Yeah. All right, and cool it.
Oh, what a name for a cat.
Why, I see nothing wrong with it. I think a martyr belongs in a minister's family.
Oh, is that my fate as your wife to be?
Of course not. We just called her that because Mike and she never seemed to get along.
Oh, it's hard to figure about the cat. Mike is such a kind, gentle sort of a giant. I thought all animals loved him.
Well, it depends what the word includes. Oh, wait a minute. There's a car now. The return of the prodigal son. Now maybe we'll find out just what happened last night.
And that's honestly all I can tell any of you.
You were making a fresh fire in the fireplace at 5:30 in the morning and straightened up too fast and knocked yourself cold on the underside of the mantelpiece?
Well, what other explanation is there, Rod?
Well, it is solid oak, and that big round ornamental sphere is a menace. I've regretted it every time I've bumped my own head on it.
Yeah, but Dad, you never hit your head hard enough to knock yourself cold.
Mike, why were you making a fire at that time in the morning?
Well, I wasn't actually making one. I was replacing one. Professor Azarak was with me last night, coaching me for an exam I have coming up, and, well, he got cold.
Oh, come on. It wasn't cold enough for a fire last night.
Well, maybe when you went to bed, but we were up all night. And the professor's a pretty old man.
What were you doing up at that hour in the morning, Dad?
I really don't know. Something woke me, and I...
Are you all right, Reverend Jays?
Excuse me, Trudy, dear. Yes, I'm fine. I'm just recalling that moment this morning. How vivid it was. I was startled out of the depths of my sleep to wide awakeness. I had a vision of Mike surrounded by flames. It was so real, I even said a little prayer. Then I hopped out of bed, went to the window. It wasn't very dark anymore. And looking across, I could see that all the studio lights were on and the front door open. And I thought I'd better go and have a look.
And when you got there, you found Mike on the floor unconscious?
Yes. Lying on his face, white as a sheet, and deathly cold.
Oh.
Yeah, but what made you call the hospital? It's not like you to panic.
Well, I realized that, but the back of his head looked as though he'd been felled by some superhuman mailed fist. It was all bent inward.
I thought the hospital said Mike was all right.
Oh, I am, Trudy. A clean bill of health. Nothing to worry about.
My fault. It must have been an illusion, of course.
Well, I think if the Inquisition is over, I'm going to make up on some sleep. Oh, that damn cat! I'd forgotten about her. Will you keep her in there away from me?
What's the matter with her?
Been a very strange night and morning, and I have a hauntingly uneasy feeling.
You mean about Mike?
About Mike. I hope the hospital was right to give him a clean bill of health. He doesn't seem himself at all. Not at all.
Hello. Azarak? Michael. What the hell happened last night? Okay, not on the phone. I'm going to rest now. But you be sure to be here tonight. So far in our modern legend, we have caught up with superstition, witches, magic, both black and white, enchantment, spells, abracadabra. Well, there are 2 more acts to come. I'll be back very shortly with Act 2. A young man rushed to the hospital with a depressed fracture of the skull, which should have mangled his brain. A chronic drunken repeater back in emergency on the edge of fatal acute alcoholism. And an aging cleaning woman who thought she saw a malign spirit pass from the drunk to the young man. Now, apparently in full health, we'll be able to appraise just how healthy the young man who made his remarkable recovery is.
Be right there. Professor Azarick, please come in.
Must you be so formal?
After last night and today, I'm taking no chances. Maybe with your superior intelligence, you have no worries about our abortive attempt at Satanism. But I have. Look, I was the victim, and since a crack on the head denied me any knowledge of what happened, I'm only hoping you can give me the straight goods.
The straight goods. A peculiarly inept term for what we are engaged in, my brother in Satan.
Damn it, it's not a deal in semantics, Anton. Now, what happened after I summoned up the fiend? I mean, how did you escape, and how could I have been harmed? As long as I was safe in the magic triangle within the circle.
I warned you to keep your feet still. If you touch any part of the circle itself or the triangle within it, you are at the mercy of all the devils in hell.
And if I'd known what I was getting into when I picked your philosophy course, I'd have quit.
You made the mistake of not realizing how vulnerable your soul was as the son of a minister.
All right. I'm not crying over what happened. I just want to know what it was. Now, where was I?
By the fireplace, lying prostrate. The way you fell after he hit you.
Who hit me?
The devil you summoned.
But where did he appear?
Outside the circle here.
The inner or the outer?
Beyond the outer, of course. There was water scattered between the circles, and wolfsbane scattered through it. And within the circle, you had the brazier burning.
Everything as you ordered it and arranged it.
Yes, but...
But what went wrong?
Your ego.
My ego? What does that mean?
You lost your head. Or at least almost did. This was a simple experiment by someone who seemed a true psychic to raise a minor antichrist. The motive was strong enough to create belief. Or at least the hope of belief. You wanted a familiar to procure your brother's woman for you. Beshal, you were to call forth. Why did you call on Ashtaroth, a giantess beyond your control?
I don't know. Look, do I have to explain?
No. Ever since you became my disciple, you told me that you have lusted after the woman your brother brought home as his bride.
The only thing I've never been able to take from Rod whenever I wanted.
When you finished the incantation and summoned Ashtaroth, I thought the house would come down about our ears. The earth rocked like the San Francisco quake. And suddenly she stood without the circle, a huge figure in chainmail and medieval armor. Meddler and slave, she said, how dare you summon me for your petty desires? Learn this lesson once, if not for all. Turn your face from me in shame. And as you turned, she reached out with her mailed glove and struck you on the top and back of your head. You dropped like a stone.
Across the magic circles?
They weren't designed for major devils.
You swore no presence could cross them.
Nothing but her arm and her fist.
But it's 5 feet from that outer circle to the center of the triangle where I was standing.
I told you the circle was for lesser demons.
What happened after she struck me?
The spirit disappeared. The room was clogged with smoke. I opened the door to let it out and came back to you. You had fallen almost into the fireplace. I pulled the rug back, arranged the furniture as best I could, and fled. I thought you were dead.
Oh, I'm alive.
Yes, but it's not possible. When I left you just before sunrise, you were dead.
What witchcraft can do, it can undo. Whoever and whatever I am, I'm alive. Make no mistake about that. Goodbye, Anton. I don't need you anymore. Oh, hi, Trudy. I thought you'd gone with Rod and Dad.
Hello, Mike. I thought you were over in the studio.
We ran out of beer.
Ah, you're out of luck. Rod's bringing some home.
Well, I found something more refreshing.
What?
You.
Oh, if you'd waited just a little longer, you'd have found me anyway. I was going to wander over to the studio and visit you.
Oh, so that's why you stayed home.
Oh, don't be silly. Someone had to wash the dishes. As long as I'm house guest, I thought I ought to do something for my keep.
Well, you're staying here tonight?
1 whole week. Mom went up with Pops to his 35th class reunion. And they figured that with one full-fledged minister and a recent hospital dropout, I was suitably chaperoned.
Safe as a church, huh? Rod and Dad say when they'd be back?
Not till pretty late, I guess.
Mm.
Pretty rough section of town. That's why Rod insisted on going along.
What's the occasion?
That's one of your father's oldest parishioners. I guess the old lady is dying. She asked for the minister.
Well, her loss, my gain.
What?
Oh, nothing. It's just a stupid joke. You said you wanted to see the studio?
Oh, yes. Would you mind?
Mind? Look, I'm out of beer, but I've got some champagne that's begging to be what it is.
Oh, what is it?
A split. Just right for sharing. Shall we go? Well, won't you walk into my parlor, said Beelzebub to the flies.
Oh, no, what's that supposed to mean?
That is the advantage of a classical education.
Aha.
Beelzebub, god of the Philistine city of Ekron. You know, he was known as the Lord of the Flies.
Why?
Well, now there you've got me.
Uh-oh, he sounds horrid.
Well, he wasn't very popular with Christians. In fact, they called him the Prince of Devils.
Lord of the Flies.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, it gives me the creeps.
Here's something to chase your creeps away.
Oh, I don't want that, Mike. It goes right to my head.
Oh, just a sip. A good luck toast to sister and brother-in-law Hood. Our getting to know you party.
Well, far be it from me to be a party pooper. There's nothing more cozy and reassuring than a room full of books. What's this section here?
Oh, that? That's the main reason I needed Dad's particular library, since my exam was in metaphysics.
The Black Arts, The World of Witches, Essentials of Demonology, The Satanic Mass. Oh, it's a strange collection for a minister.
Well, it's always good to know your enemy. You know, Dad's quite an authority on the devil and his work.
And you? Are you thinking of becoming a minister, Mike?
Me? No. Perish the thought. No, my philosophy is too easy for that. I long ago decided that if you can't fight 'em, join 'em. I mean, can't you see how evil I am? Tempting you with spirituous beverages, coaxing you here to my lair, and now, having anesthetized my prey, making ready to spring.
I don't think you're being very funny, Mike. Oh, is this where you hit your head?
Oh, yes, so they say. No, I wasn't being altogether funny.
What do you mean?
Trudy, have you any idea how jealous I am of my older brother?
Of Rod? Why?
A month ago, or whenever it was, they turned up with you. My first thought was, why couldn't I find something like that?
That's very flattering, Mike. But you're a little young for the big step.
Not so young as you think. Perhaps. I don't care what you and Rod have been to each other. It was me you wanted. Still want. Only you're afraid of breaking your word.
This is a joke.
It's no joke.
Mike, let go of me.
You wanted me from the moment you laid eyes on me, just as I have you.
Oh, you've been reading too many naughty books.
Don't laugh. There's nothing funny about this.
No, not really. Offensive.
You're afraid of me.
Don't be silly.
Afraid of yourself.
Now that really is the last straw.
Test it. Fasten your mouth to mine. Wind yourself about me. Try forbidden love, and it will never let you go.
No, Mike, let me go. You're hurting me. Oh, that's Rod home with your father. If you won't let me go, I'll scream.
What are you going to tell them?
Nothing. Nothing. I wouldn't want them to know what a pig you are. I think that blow on the head must have done more damage than you think. Mike, you better see a psychiatrist. Hi, Rod. Dad. Well, we didn't expect you.
Astaroth. By Lucifer. I'll have you yet. Cowering at my feet like a slave. To use you once and destroy you. As I shall use your surrogate tonight. Whoever she may be.
Oh, dear. How bestial.
What, Reverend Damon?
Just something that happened to a girl on the other side of town.
Let me see. Raped? Oh, awful.
Well, now you got me going. You too, Joan? Well, since you can't read, I'll read it to you. The body of Elizabeth Migler, 21, was discovered in Marsden Park today by a passerby. Although it was later determined the girl had been raped, the strange features of the case are that she was not robbed, and as though by some ferocious animal tooth marks, showed that her throat had been literally ripped to pieces. Good Lord.
Where is Marsden Park?
Clear over the other side of town.
When did it happen?
Night before last.
Morning, all. I hope breakfast is all ready. I'm famished. What's wrong with that cat? Oh, it's beginning to bug me.
A lot of things are beginning to bug me.
What'd you say, honey?
Nothing, Rod. I don't think I'll have any breakfast this morning. I don't feel like eating. No, Rod, please, don't come with me. I'd rather be alone.
Lovers' quarrel?
Look, will you just fake out, brother mine? It's none of your business.
For Trudy's sake, for everyone's sake, would that it were. But, unfortunately, we know better. Or do we? The crime happened miles away. And the devil that may possess Mike is there only on the evidence of a tipsy charwoman. Who summons the devil, never calls for him in vain, and once met, few are lucky to get rid of him again. I'll return shortly with Act 3. In the kitchen of the Damon house, Rod glares angrily at his brother, who shrugs it off and goes to the refrigerator for orange juice. A troubled Reverend Damon eyes both his sons as he closes and folds the tabloid in his hands, as if it were just as unclean as it is. Rod, unchallenged by Mike, breaks the silence first.
I better go on upstairs and check on Trudy.
Oh, she said she wanted to be alone.
Look, will you stay out of this?
I'm not even in it. Just an objective comment.
So keep it to yourself.
Come on, Rod. I didn't mean to butt in. Catch me up. What's all the hostility about?
No hostility. Just a reaction to a peculiarly unpleasant crime. I think I'll go up and apologize to Trudy for spoiling everyone's breakfast.
That's a good idea, Dad.
If I can leave you two alone.
Well, I have no quarrel with anyone.
Now, forget it, Dad. I just got upset over Trudy. I shouldn't have jumped on Mike.
Well, then, let me see if I can make our future in-law a little happier in our house.
What happened, Rod?
Oh, it all started over this tabloid story about some poor kid who got raped and mangled in Marsden Park.
Oh?
Here, read all about it.
Kind of gruesome, all right. But there's one of these every day.
Yeah, but not in such gory detail. It really got to Trudy. I've never seen her upset like that. I mean, so subjectively involved.
Oh? What do you suppose triggered that?
Oh, I don't know. I just sure wish I did.
Maybe it's better to let sleeping dogs lie.
Who is it?
Your future father-in-law. May I come in for a minute?
Just a sec. The door's locked. Come on in, Reverend Damon.
Feeling any better?
Oh, not really.
Oh, I should be ashamed of myself reading that yellow sheet. I like to think it helps keep my sense of balance, but maybe I'm just a seeker of vicarious excitement.
Like that rather complete collection on Satanism and the occult that you have in your studio?
Ah, you noticed that, did you?
Night before last, when I was over there with Mike while you and Rod had gone to see your old parishioner who was dying. Did she?
As a matter of fact, no. She made a remarkable recovery.
Oh, really? Well, you looked so sort of worried when you came home. I thought she...
I was worried about you, Trudy. And Mike.
Why?
You, because I knew you were upset about something. Well, you can't be a minister for over 40 years without learning to read something about people.
And Mike?
Mike is an enigma to me since I brought him back from the hospital. A rather terrifying thought to realize I've lost contact with my own son. I'd like to ask your help, Trudy, and I'll lay it right on the line. Why were you at the studio with him? And what happened there?
You won't tell Rod?
Not if you don't want me to.
Then what I'd like more than anything is to tell someone, most of all you. For Mike's sake. Because I think he needs help. And you're the only one who could bring it to him. Or make him go find it.
Well, Reverend Damon, this is a pleasure. I'm on my way to a class. Can we talk as we cross campus?
Yes. Just, what is the name of your course that Mike is taking?
Philosophy. Perhaps more specifically, metaphysics. Rather freewheeling. I mean, it's advanced, and we spend more time on the perimeters than we do on the core subjects.
Just what were you and Mike up to that long night before his injury?
I was coaching him for an examination.
An examination in what? On what subject?
Why, the class I teach, general philosophy.
And you left before Michael was hurt?
For good Lord, yes. Would I have left the boy if he were injured?
Would you have fled the scene unless you were up to something dark and vile enough to stain your reputation?
I am sorry your boy was hurt. I had no part in it. And I resent your holier-than-thou accusations. If you'll excuse me, I have a class waiting for me.
And now for the rug. There. Does it? Oh, my dear Lord. Just what I was afraid of.
What are you afraid of, Dad?
You, Mike. That you turned away from God to seek the devil. Why, Mike? Why?
Who knows? Now, what shall I tell you? That life's a drag. It has no purpose, no goals, no triumphs that aren't tarnished. That there's no good in man. Nothing but pettiness and meanness and me first and the devil take the hindmost.
That's not what I brought you up to believe.
No one blames you, Dad. But Trudy was the last straw. That Rod could find the woman he wanted, and she could turn out to be the one that I need. So I chose his worship. And here we built my altar.
Don't desecrate that name. The altar belongs to God.
This altar belongs to Satan. See the circle traced in vermilion paint? Exactly 9 feet wide, an 8-foot charcoal one within. Light the votive candles, burn the incense, let the mass begin.
Mike, what are you doing? I won't tolerate this sacrilege.
You can no more move than the woman I desire can resist my power. I am the way. I am the darkness. I am the truth. Lord of the universe, whom the winds fear. I am he whose mouth ever flameth. You answer me. Thee I invoke, the boneless one that did create the darkness and the light. Thee I command to serve me and send me the woman I desire. Trudy, don't come in here.
But the rain.
What's going on here?
Rod, it's your brother. He's gone mad. Spawn of the outer world. Stay back. Stay back. Or I will smite thee dead where thou standest. Leave except the woman who is mine.
Dad, what's going on?
Look out. He's going for Trudy.
Now, look, next
Oh, he has a knife.
Would you murder your own brother?
Okay, that's enough fooling around. Don't you know I could always take you?
Oh, Rod, I hope you haven't hurt him too much.
Oh, don't worry, baby. He always had a glass jaw.
He had something more perishable than that. Call the hospital. And better tell them to bring a straitjacket.
The top of the night to you, Mrs. Gideon. And what's that wee bottle in the paper bag? A little poteen?
Nothing of the sort, Dr. Smart-Aleck. That's a noggin of holy water blessed by me own Monsignor, which I carry with me when I come near this place ever since 3 days ago. What happened to old P.J.? Did anyone ever turn up to claim him?
Nope. Oh, by the way, while we're on the gossip column, guess who's back in the hospital?
Oh, not the other one.
Mm-hmm. The same. Lying in the emergency room under a deep sedation in a straitjacket.
Oh, what did they bring him back here for?
That's what Dr. Considine and his father, the Reverend Damon, are discussing now in the prep room. Well, if you're going to swab out the emergency, you'd better get at it fast.
Well, I'll tell you something, Doctor. If I'm to be there and alone with that devil, you'll never see emergency this clean again. For I'm adding the Monsignor's holy water to me pail right now, just in case.
Of course, we'll run every neurological test in the book on him under the circumstances, Reverend Damon.
I'm not sure it will do any good. I'm afraid the trouble is psychiatric.
Well, it has to be one or the other unless we're to accept Mrs. Gideon's diagnosis of possession.
Mrs. Gideon? Oh, I remember now. She was one of the people, like the intern, who remembered that they thought they saw a considerable skull compression.
Which never existed, believe me. Just an illusion like Mrs. Gideon's.
What was Mrs. Gideon's illusion?
Well, I'm afraid she'd had a drink or two, and she had some wild story about a black devil streaming out of an old dipsomaniac who was also in the emergency room and being sucked up through your son's nostrils. I'm really even embarrassed to mention such nonsense. Come in.
Excuse me, Dr. Considine, but the patient is coming too.
Mr. Damon?
Yes, sir. He's still in the straitjacket.
I think, Reverend, if you don't mind, until we see what state he's in.
I don't mind. You might as well both know that the police are by now well aware that my son was responsible for the violent death of a young woman the night before last while under the possession of whatever devils or devil owns him. Shall we go?
By Nergal and Tammuz and Belphegor, no one can hem me in. I am Belial, Lord of the Flies, and your bonds cannot hold me.
Good Lord. He's out of the straitjacket. I'll get help.
What's going on here, Mrs. Goody?
Oh, the Lord preserve us. It's the devil incarnate. Oh, stay away from him, Doctor. He'll burn you to a crisp with his fiery breath.
All of you, stay away from him. Leave him to me. Michael, my son.
Call me not by that filthy angel's name. Stay away, old man, for I carry death in my hand as a sword.
Michael!
I warned you.
Oh, you administer man of the cloth. Get back! Get back!
What happened?
Oh, sure it was the Monsignor's holy water. It's as strong as life.
Michael, no.
All right, boys.
All right, Daniels, you're too late.
What?
Excuse me, Reverend. Let me see. Daniels, come here.
Yes, sir?
Was that the depression you were talking about when this man was first brought in?
Yes, sir. That's what I thought I saw.
Well, at least it's what we all see now.
But how?
I haven't any answers. I only know... I'm sorry, Reverend Damon, but your son is dead.
He hasn't been my son since his first visit here. The mercy of God is that whatever possessed him died with him. Thanks to this lady here.
Oh, if I hadn't had the holy water, the Lord does move in mysterious ways. Don't he, Reverend Sir?
In mysterious ways and kind ones. What a field day the Reverend Damon's tabloids might have had if Michael had ever come to trial for the death of that poor innocent girl. Innocent. Perhaps that's the theme of this dark history. If Michael had been less innocent, and had had the guts to be less self-interested and bored, how different his world might have been. But that's the answer, isn't it? We all make our own world. We can't rely on anyone else to make it for us. I'll be back shortly. I suppose I should resist the impulse, but I have to admit I can't. It's one of the rewards for being host, particularly with guests who can't answer back, at least directly. So just for once, a homily. Reach out and find life. Take it and make the most of it. For if nothing else, our story proves to the hilt the oldest of adages. If you don't, the devil finds work for idle hands to do. Our cast included Donald Buka, Joan Shea, Ian Martin, Guy Sorel, and Leon Janney. The entire production was under the direction of Hyman Brown.
Now, a preview of our next tale.
No trouble, though.
He went numb pretty fast.
I thought he would.
He wanted me to give you a message, but then he couldn't remember what it was. And he thinks you're some kind of a warden.
Poor man.
You know, Mr. Z, I didn't much like it inside that room.
You knew you were coming out.
Who ever dreamed up the Black Room anyway?
I've no idea.
Somebody must have.
There's always been a Black Room, far as I know.
Hell of a place.
Yes.
How long will he last, do you think?
Matter of days. Weeks, possibly.
Then what?
He'll go mad. Or die.
Wonder what he's doing now.
Oh, counting by twos, then by threes, then by fours. Anything to keep from thinking. That's what they all do.
This is E.G. Marshall inviting you to return to our Mystery Theater for another adventure in the macabre. Until next time, pleasant dreams. Welcome. I'm E.G. Marshall. Good to have you with us. Settle down and be comfortable. Lend us not only your ears, but your deepest concentration while we tell you a strange and macabre story. Where do you live? Peoria? Salt Lake City? Buffalo? Memphis? Huh? Where? Springfield? Manchester? Spokane? Hackensack? No, you don't live in any of those places, or in any other place that has a name. You live, each one of you, night and day, year after year, in the nameless, hidden places of your own mind.
Mr. Z, who ever dreamed up the Black Room anyway?
I have no idea.
Somebody must have.
There's always been a Black Room, Mr. K, far as I know.
Hell of a place.
Yes.
How long do you think he'll last?
Matter of days. Weeks, possibly.
Then what?
He'll go mad. Or die.
Our mystery drama, The Black Room, was written especially for the Mystery Theater by Elspeth Eric and stars Larry Haines. I'll be back shortly with Act One. Somewhere, in some unspecified place, are three men. Three men of no particular distinction and no particular importance except to themselves. Yet the urgency of their speech and the intensity of their attitudes would make you think that something of the gravest consequence is taking place. And for all that I know, it is. Listen now to the story of The Black Room.
Why me? Why me? Of all people, I'm a...
Now, direct from CBS News, this special Radio Net Alert News Report.
I'm Jim Kilpatrick, CBS News in New York. Former President Nixon remains in critical condition in a hospital in California. The latest medical bulletin was issued moments ago by Norm Nager, a hospital spokesman in Long Beach, California.
Former President Richard Nixon remains in critical condition. His vascular system, however, is now stabilized. He has a low-grade temperature. He has a somewhat elevated pulse rate. He is on intravenous feedings and medication. His blood pressure is stable now. He is under care of a team of specialized intensive care nurses. The surgeon, Dr. Alden Hickman, is remaining near him through the night. Mrs. Nixon and his daughter, Julie Nixon Eisenhower, are with him now. That is the end of Dr. Lundgren's statement. Barring significant developments in the night, at which point we will alert the press. The next scheduled briefing will probably be about 10 a.m., somewhere between...
Norm Nager, a hospital spokesman in Long Beach, California, with the latest medical information on former President Richard Nixon. I'm Jim Kilpatrick, CBS News.
And now back to the CBS Mystery Theater.
Take you because we thought you unusual.
Well, then, for God's sake, why?
We need information.
I haven't got any information.
We think you have.
Information about what? Look, if I have it, I'll give it to you. I'll tell you anything you want to know.
You mean that?
What do you want to know?
Why did you do it?
Do what?
You know.
I don't know. Do what?
He's not going to tell us.
What am I supposed to know? How could a man like me know anything?
Look me in the eye. Step up here. Closer. Look me straight in the eye. Now, why did you do it?
I didn't do anything.
Come on now.
He'll never tell you.
What am I supposed to have done?
He's hopeless.
You guys, I never saw you before in my life. Who the hell are you, anyway?
I'm the man in charge here.
And who's he?
My deputy.
Well, who gave you the right to bust into my house, drag me down here, and start asking me questions? Well, who gave you the right to do that?
It's not a question of right.
Well, it damn well should be.
But it isn't.
Can I make a phone call? I can make a phone call, can I?
I'm afraid not.
Well, everybody's allowed to make a phone call. That's what I always heard. I want to call my wife, my lawyer, somebody.
Out of the question. We have no phone.
I never heard of a place that had no phone.
Now you have.
But you just can't keep me here. It's not right.
What's your idea of what's right? We'd really like to know.
Well, I can't tell you offhand like that. I don't know exactly.
Quite so. Neither do we. Mr. Kay, I think it's time for the black room.
Right. Come with me, please.
Come with you where? No, I'm not going anywhere with you.
Come on.
I don't have to go.
Yes, you do. Come on.
Do I have to?
Yes, you do.
Right this way.
I don't understand any of this. What is this place you're taking me to? What did he call it?
The black room.
Why do you call it that?
Because it's black.
Why, painted black, black walls, black furnishings, what?
Well, there aren't any furnishings. It's just a room. And it's black.
You're putting me in solitary.
You'll be alone. There we are. Step in, please.
Well, I can't see a thing, nothing. It's black.
That's why it's called the black room.
Well, switch on a light.
There is no light. Once I close this door, there'll be no light of any kind.
You can't do this. Get out of my way.
Now, just...
Help! Somebody help!
Don't make such a fuss. Cut it out. I'm going to close this door.
Are you there? Are we both in here? Well, say something. Are you here?
You haven't any matches on you by any chance? Or a lighter?
No.
Once I go out that door, you'll be in total darkness and total silence. No light, no noise, no sound of any kind. Only what you make yourself.
I don't see why.
You'll be fed once a day, never at the same time.
How will I know when?
It'll be either before you get hungry or after you stop being hungry.
You'll bring it to me?
You'll find it somewhere on the floor.
Well, how will I find it if I can't see it?
You'll feel around till you come to it. There'll be bread and water, and once in a while, if I'm in the mood, some cheese or a piece of fruit. Okay. Got it?
Will you tell the warden something for me?
The who? The warden?
Well, whoever he is, the keeper.
Keeper?
Well, you know who I mean, the man in charge.
That's Mr. Z. The end of the line. Tell him what?
Tell him that
That you what?
I've forgotten it.
Well, it's a good beginning. Keep it up.
Oh, wait a second, wait.
What now?
Let me look at the light.
Look at it. Okay. That's all.
Only thing to fear itself. Yes. Why am I whispering? I should be shouting. What's that? I hear something. I hear. What is that? It's my heart. It's my heart beating. I'm hearing my own heart. The only thing I can hear is my own heart. My shh. Quiet down. Quiet. That's better. Yes. That's better. Much better. Better. Yes.
How did it go?
Very routine.
Good.
He fussed a little.
Oh?
I found it necessary to step inside with him for a few seconds.
No trouble, though.
He went numb pretty fast.
I thought he would.
He wanted me to give you a message, but then he couldn't remember what it was. And he thinks you're some kind of a warden.
A warden?
Or a keeper.
Poor man.
You know, Mr. Z, I didn't much like it inside that room.
You knew you were coming out.
Who ever dreamed up the black room anyway?
I've no idea.
Somebody must have.
There's always been a black room, far as I know.
Hell of a place.
Yes.
How long will he last, do you think?
Matter of days. Weeks, possibly.
Then what?
He'll go mad. Or die.
Wonder what he's doing now.
Oh, counting by twos, then by threes, then by fours. Anything to keep from thinking. That's what they all do.
Remember things. Beautiful things. Remember the ocean, the sand, the sounds of the sea, the waves, winds, running on the beach. Oh, God, I'm crying. These are my tears. Come on, now, let's not have any of that. None of that. No, just remember other things. The house, no. Not the house. I'm not ready to think about the house. School. Yes, school. Matthew Arnold, English poet, 1822 to 1888. Yeah, something like that anyway. Is it so small a thing to have enjoyed the sun, to have lived light in the spring, to have lived, to have thought, to have done? I don't know the rest. Sleep. I want to sleep. No, I'm afraid to sleep. Will I ever sleep? What's that? I heard something. Yes, I hear something. Shh. Quiet. Shh. It's a rat. They've let a rat in here. I'm shut up with a rat. Where is that? Where is that rat? I'll kill it. I'll kill it with my bare hands. Where is it? Where is that? Where? Can't hear it anymore. Where is that rat? Where is it hiding? What'll it do? No, that's enough of that. Just lie down on the floor. Stretch out. Just let go. What'll happen will happen. Just let it happen. That's the best way. Don't fight. Don't struggle. Just lie quiet. Empty your mind. Yes. It doesn't matter if my eyes are open or closed. Isn't that funny? They're not really funny. When I go to sleep with my eyes closed, well, they stay open. Yes, I can feel my eyelids raise themselves up. Now I feel them come down. But everything's the same. Black, just... it ran over my hand. The rat ran across my hand. Where is it now? I don't hear it. Did I imagine that? Did I ever hear it? Did I really feel it? There. I hear it again. Now, why would they do that? Why would they put me in a black room with a rat? They must be devils. Where is that rat now? Shh. Wait, it makes a noise. Shh. Again. Ran across my hand again. And wait. Just hold on now. Hold on, it's not so bad. The rat didn't bite you, did he? No, he simply ran across the back of your hand. That's all. You're not hurt. You're perfectly all right. Perfect. Oh, you don't sound like such a big rat. Oh, you sound like kind of a very small rat. you could be a mouse. Sure, a very small little mouse. Why not? Now, if I should just lie here quietly with my arms spread out like this, would you run across my hand again? Would you? Huh? Hey, you see, I'm calmer now, much more relaxed. I'm waiting. Ah, there you are. Oh, my fingers. Oh, such light little feet, so delicate. Oh, I think you must be no more than 2 inches long. How are you, my friend? Huh? How is my mouse chum? My pal, Mr. Mouse. How's everything with you? Okay? Good. Me? Oh, I'm managing. So far, so good. Yeah. You know, I think I can hold out for a while. Anyway, at least I'm not alone. Not altogether alone. Not quite.
The great horror is the fear of being alone. Man will do anything, suffer anything to avoid it, and to postpone that crucial moment when, no matter what he does or what he suffers, he must face his own essential aloneness, the very last moment of his life. We'll be back shortly with Act Two. The simple man we have chosen to be our hero is confined in the Black Room, a bare place without light or sound. But by chance or fate or the mercy of God, he has found a companion, a mouse no bigger than his thumb. This tiny creature has become his sole defense against the terrors of being alone.
Sit here on my hand and let me stroke your head, Mr. Mouse. There. You like that? Tell me you do. Somehow let me know that you do. You don't know how much it would mean to me to know that I was giving pleasure to someone. That's one of the chief horrors of being cut off from everything and everyone. There's no one to serve, to help, to amuse. Yes, that sounds strange, I suppose, but I never knew till now how important it is to bring pleasure and comfort and amusement into other lives. Will I ever laugh again? That's too much to expect. Yes, I know that. I don't mind crying anymore. I cry a lot. I don't care. When I weep at the hopelessness of it all, I feel somehow it's not quite so hopeless. Now, why is that? Do you know, Mr. Mouse? Mice don't cry? Is that what you're saying? Mice take life as it comes. Yes, but men can't do that. Men rebel and struggle and suffer. Oh, yes. Yes, how they suffer. Oh, are you agreeing with me? Or are you telling me you're hungry? You know what I have for you this time? Some cheese. Yes. They left me a piece of cheese this time. I ate most of it, but there are some crumbs. And they're in the breast pocket of my shirt. Now, if you just get into my pocket, way down at the bottom. You're easy now. Don't be frightened. Now, you know I wouldn't do anything to hurt you, my little friend. There. Head first. Down you go. Ah, yes, you found them. You found the crumbs of cheese. You're eating, and I'm almost laughing. Not quite, but almost. I'm almost laughing because you're so pleased.
I gave him a piece of cheese this time.
What for?
Oh, I don't know. Just to give him a little hope, I guess.
Well, if you want to drag it out.
Bread and water get so monotonous.
I imagine the last thing in the world that concerns him is monotony.
Well, it gets monotonous for me, too.
You say he's eating well.
So far, every crumb.
That won't last.
I suppose not.
Not if he's like the others, it won't. A few more days, then...
Now stay out of my way, Mr. Mouse. Don't get hurt. I'm just looking for our food. Well, maybe he hasn't left it yet. Now, there hasn't been any cheese for a long time. No, I can't count the days anymore, but it's been a long time. Oh, I found it. What is this? What? It's an apple. Imagine an apple. Say, I wonder, is it red or green or yellow? Perhaps I could tell by the taste. Macintosh. Or have I forgotten the taste of apples? I used to know it so well. You want some, do you? Now, wait till I bite off a piece for you. Wait, you know where it is. Come on now, you know. The pocket. It's in the pocket. That's it. I can feel you move against my chest. I think I have never felt anything so comforting. Now, how did I get here? How did I come to be living in a soundless, lightless room with a friendly mouse? It's almost laughable, but I've forgotten how to laugh. But think about it. How did I arrive at this place, these circumstances? For that matter, how did I arrive at any of the places, any of the circumstances of my life? I planned, yes. Yes, I made plans. But they never seemed to work out precisely as I planned them. The marriage. It looked all right, but it wasn't quite what I meant. The job. Yes, the job seemed to be a good job, but it wasn't quite what I'd expected. The house. It was a good house, a nice house, but not quite. Oh, are you coming out of my pocket now, Mr. Mouse? You had enough? Huh? Hey, what are you doing? Are you trying to get inside my shirt? What for? What do you want? Oh, I know. To be close to me is that... Ow! Hey, what was that? What did you do? You know, I felt something... there it is again. Hey, I think you're pulling out the hairs on my chest. Is that what you're doing, Mr. Mouse? Yes, you are. Now, why? Why would you do that? Not to hurt me. I know you would never hurt me. Are you playing? Are you making up a game trying to divert me from the awfulness? Yes, you're telling me it could be worse. There are things we can do. There is always something. It is never absolutely hopeless. Oh, little mouse, you're trying to make me laugh.
I gave him an apple today.
If you want to play the game that way, I can't stop you.
He ate every bit of it. There wasn't a thing left on the plate. No core, nothing.
I wonder how he manages to keep up his appetite.
Maybe he exercises.
After this long, they lose interest.
Yes. After all, what's the point?
Hope can't last forever. It's got to die, sooner or later.
Oh, this one, it looks as if it's going to be later.
Yes, but eventually.
What makes him hang on?
I wish I knew. I'd give anything to know.
It's darn near 2 weeks.
2 weeks tomorrow.
Should I go in after him?
No. Now, wait a while longer. He can't last.
You're sure about that?
No one ever has.
It's only breadcrumbs today. Sorry, Mr. Mouse. Hey, where are you? Mouse? Mouse, I have breadcrumbs for you in my pocket. Now, where are you? Are you here? Why don't you come when I call you? Now, there's no place to go in this blackness. I can't look for you. I might hurt you. Now, why don't you come when I call you? I have food for... Oh, what a fool I am. You've gone out of the black room. You've escaped. But where? How? There must be a place. Yes, you haven't always lived in this room. You came in at some point, and now you've gone out. But where? How? There must be a place, a little place, a tiny hole. Yes, a tiny hole big enough for a mouse to get through. No, where? Where? You don't live here all the time. The black room isn't your only home. I mean, not your permanent home. You wouldn't pick a place like this. No mouse would do that. Nobody would do that. No, you came here from somewhere else. You must have. There must be a hole someplace. And you came through that hole, and you've gone out through that hole, and I'm going to find it. What's this? Is this it? Oh, that's so tiny. That's so tiny. Is that a hole? A hole just big enough for a mouse to slip through? Yes, I think it is. Then on the other side, there must be something. The blasted hole is right next to the floor. It's no bigger than my thumb. I can't get my face up to it. Yes, I can. I see. I see a light. I see light. A very little light. Oh, thank you. Thank whoever you are for this little bit of light. What's happening? What's happened to the light? There's still a little bit. There's something gray, something milky gray. What? It's my mouse. He's on the other side of the hole. I'm looking into the small gray eye of my friend. Oh, Lord, it's too much. Who could think of such a thing? Who could think that I would be straining at a mouse hole, bent almost double, to look into the eyes of my friend, the mouse? It's too much. It's too much. I can't comprehend. What is there to do? What is there to do but laugh?
He's off his feet. Hardly ate anything the last few days.
So, it's starting.
What's starting?
The decline. I knew it would, sooner or later.
Think I'll give him some fruit next time.
I really don't know why you want to bother.
Maybe some cheese, too.
Suit yourself.
Look, the idea was never to starve the poor fool. If that was the idea, I wouldn't give him anything at all.
He's beginning to starve himself.
Can he do that?
It's simple. Stay away from food and water. You'll be gone in a few days.
No kidding.
Animals know that.
Well, I never knew it.
There's lots of things animals know that men don't know. Especially you.
There's a place beyond crying. Yes, there's a despair too deep for crying. Here, in the dark and the silence, there's nobody. Not a creature is stirring, not even a mouse. I can't laugh either. I think my life is closing. What? Oh, you're back. You're back, are you? You're in the pocket of my shirt. Well, I have some cheese and part of a pear. You'll have to come to me if you want it. No, I can't look for you again. I just don't care anymore. I just don't care. I don't care anymore.
We all know it, but nobody says it. The drama of life is not in battles or elections or crimes or even in love affairs. The drama of life takes place in the dark, silent soul of every man or woman who has had the luck or the misfortune to live. We'll be back shortly with Act 3. I just don't care anymore. These words were spoken by our nameless protagonist a few minutes ago, and I suppose they are the saddest words anyone can utter. I just don't care anymore. The struggle is over. Life is over when we just don't care anymore.
He hasn't eaten anything for 2 days.
Oh?
Last thing he ate was that pear. That was 2 days ago.
He's starting down the slide.
You sound as if you enjoy this.
I don't.
I think it's terrible, really terrible.
It's necessary.
I don't see why. I swear I don't.
We need the information, don't we?
But do we absolutely have to have it? I don't see why.
It's the most important information in the world.
I just think maybe it's not worth all this.
It's worth all this and more.
I don't know why.
Look, you're a good fellow. And you're not the stupidest man in the world, or you wouldn't be my deputy. But there are certain things that are, let's say, beyond your comprehension. You agree?
I guess so.
You guess so?
I'm sure. I'm sure there are certain things that are beyond my comprehension. Just the same.
Yes? What were you going to say?
How do I know they're not beyond your comprehension, too?
I hear you. Oh, I hear you, but I don't care. Even if I did care, I'm not sure I'm strong enough anymore to go looking for you. There must be food all over the room. Why don't you go look for it? I'm sure the faithful Mr. K has been leaving it, and I haven't eaten any for a long time. So, stir yourself and go look for it. Huh? You want me to bring it to you? Well, that's rough. Those days are over, my friend. I loved you. Do you know that? I really did. I thought you loved me in your own little mousy way, but you didn't. I was just somebody to feed you. That's all. Well, our friendship has come to an end. Mr. Mouse, has all things come to an end.
He isn't drinking any water either.
That's too bad.
You feeling sorry for him by any chance?
Now, don't start up with me, Kay.
It's not like you to go soft.
I'm not going soft. It's just that...
Yes? What?
I don't know why exactly, but I had such high hopes for him. That he'd be different somehow. I really had very high hopes for that man. Well, maybe one day I'll learn. Nobody survives the Black Room. Absolutely nobody.
All right, one more time. One last time I'll look for you. I'll bring you the cheese and the pear. My legacy to you, Mr. Mouse. My last salute, Mr. Mouse. Morituri te salutamos. Well, why wouldn't you come to me? You used to come to me. Why did you stop? You knew I needed you, that's why. I needed you more than you needed me. And when that happens, after all, you had a way out of the Black Room, and I didn't. Where is that little hole of yours, Mr. Mouse? I found it once. Where is that? I'd like to see the light once more before the darkness closes in. Where is the little mouse hole? Is this it? Is it? Yes. Yes. Oh, I'm much too weak. I can't get my eye to it. I forgot how hard it was. I beautiful light. That little sliver of light is a lovely light. Yes, I'm a little stronger now. I'll find you. Just keep talking, Mr. Mouse. I'll find you. I think I'm nearer. Just keep talking and I'll find you. You sound very loud. I must be close. Or is it because my hearing has become sharper? Does that happen? Does the hearing become sharper when there's nothing to hear? Ah, yes, you're very near now, very near. I think I can reach out and touch you. Ah, no! No! Oh, no, that didn't happen. I won't believe it. It happened. I won't believe that I reached out my hand and you bit me. I won't believe that. Not that, no. Oh. But it's true. Yes, it's true. There's no end to it. There's no end to the shocks and the suffering and the cruelty and the horror. No end to it. When you think you've borne it all, there's more and more and more.
How is he? Not eating, not drinking, nothing. Too bad. I think it's time to go in.
You think he's alive?
I don't know. He could be, I guess.
Okay. Go on in.
I hate this part.
Oh, Mr. K.
Yes?
If he should be alive, by some chance, and if he should be even remotely in his right mind.
Oh, I doubt that, Mr. Z.
I know, but if he should be, take him upstairs and let him take a shower. Let him shave, give him some clean clothes, and bring him down here to me.
That's it. If he's alive and in his right mind.
Well, there's always a chance.
Why did you bite me? I meant you no harm. Why should you turn on me? Explain that to me. I need to know this one thing before I die. Here, look. Here's what I brought you. See? 3 little pieces of cheese. And I'll put them down right here. You know what? Do you know what? I could kill you if I wanted to, but I don't want to. No, for a little while you kept me from going mad. And for that, I'm grateful. Yes. So, go on. Go on, bite me if you want to. I won't mind. Go ahead. You're not saying anything, Mr. Mouse. Are you still here? Or did you run away? Did you run to your mouse hole? Did you run through to the other side to live in the light, in the beautiful light? Or are you still here? Why don't you say something? Now, what's this? Is that you? Is this your little furry body? Huh? Yes. Wait, no. No. What is that? Oh, no. Oh, that can't be. 1, 2, 3, 4. Why? Oh, you're not Mr. Mouse at all. You're Mrs. Mouse. You're Mother Mouse. 4, 5, baby. 5? How many? Oh, yes, you were afraid I might hurt them. That's why you bit my hand. Yes, I understand. But now you trust me. Now you know. Oh, Mother Mouse. My beautiful little Mother Mouse. My dear friend. Do you know I'm crying again? And my tears are falling on you and on your children. What?
I came to get you.
What?
Come on. You can see your way to the door, can't you?
Yes.
Well, come on. Nothing like a shave and a shower, am I right? I think you've lost a little weight, a few pounds. Oh, here. I brought you some clean socks. I hope they're the right size. I had to guess.
You care to weigh yourself with some scales over there?
Oh, thank you.
Well, the rations were pretty thin, I know that. How did you like the fruit?
What?
The fruit I left for you, and the cheese. Did you like it?
Very much.
I thought you would. Hey, don't put that shirt back on. I brought you a clean one. Here, I think it'll fit.
Thank you.
Now give me your old one and I'll throw it out.
Don't touch that shirt.
Huh?
Keep your hands off that shirt.
You want to save it? It's pretty dirty.
I want to save it.
I'll wash it for you.
No, leave it alone.
You want it the way it is?
Just the way it is.
If you say so. Well, you ready?
Yes.
Let's go visit Mr. Z. He's dying to talk to you.
You look rather well. Surprisingly well. Please, sit down. I'm glad to see you.
Are you really?
Yes, really. Very glad. You've no idea how glad. It's been, let's see, 26 days. That's remarkable. Truly remarkable. Tell me something, if you can. How did you do it? How does a man survive 26 days in the Black Room? Can you tell me? I really want to know. What does a man need to have to come out of there intact?
He needs to care for some living soul.
That's all he needs?
He needs to care a lot.
That's all? Just that?
That and a little light.
You're very tired, aren't you?
Yes.
It's been quite an ordeal.
Oh, yes.
We'd like to give you a complete physical examination before you go, if you don't mind.
I can go?
Also psychiatric testing.
And then I can go?
One other thing.
Oh. And what's that?
After we've completed the examinations, would you be so kind, sir, as to address a few words to the membership? Not a long speech. We wouldn't expect that. But if you'd expand a little on what you've told me here.
Now, wait a moment. What membership?
Don't you know?
How am I supposed to know?
I thought you'd guess.
Is this a club? Some kind of a cult?
Not precisely a club. Certainly not a cult.
Well, then what is it? Who are the members?
People in trouble. Troubled people.
But that's practically everybody.
Quite so. Yes. Will you talk to them, sir? They'd be ever so grateful. Then you can go home.
Where do you live? Main Street? Lakeshore Drive? Mulberry Lane? Park Place? Lenox Avenue? Corner of 4th and Walnut? 3 miles out on Route 7? Come now. You know better than that. You may hang your hat anywhere at all, but you live in the black room of your own mind. I'll be back shortly. Has our little story depressed you? Made you unhappy? I hope not. And if it has, I'm sorry. I'd like to leave you with a piece of gentle advice. As long as you must live in the black room at the center of yourself, get to know it. Know it well. It will frighten you, yes, but it will reward you, too, in ways you would hardly believe. Our cast included Larry Haines, George Petrie, and Peter Collins. The entire production was under the direction of Hyman Brown.
Now, a preview of our next tale.
What is the whole contract?
That while a person owns this dark imp in the bottle, any request that concerns money, gold, or wealth, no matter how unreasonable, will be satisfied. And that to dispose of this creature and its spell, you must sell it for less than your original price.
Oh, here. $7.40.
$5 is enough.
Okay. Cheap at nearly half the price.
Oh, think first, Barry, think. Remember, it will keep you rich as long as you live. But remember, too, if you do not sell it for less than you paid for it before you die, your soul will surely rot in hell for eternity.
Radio Mystery Theater was sponsored in part by Anheuser-Busch Incorporated, Brewers of Budweiser, and Buick Motor Division. This is E.G. Marshall inviting you to return to our Mystery Theater for another adventure in the macabre. Until next time, pleasant dreams. I'm E.G. Marshall. Welcome to the universe of the uncanny. We live on such a tiny surface of space and time and try so hard to shut out the mass that lies beyond. But when the whispers die out and the echoes cease, a force still fills the void that remains. Evil spirits, malignant and destructive, waiting in limbo to be summoned by the foolhardy. In our tale, a young and talented student of the Talmud turns to a secret body of occult doctrine, the Kabbalah, to conquer death itself.
Simon, why do you punish yourself so?
To reach an exalted state. I wish to attain the possession of a clear and sparkling diamond and melt it down in tears, then inhale its essence into my soul. I want to attain the rays of the third planet of beauty. I want 2 barrels of golden pieces for him who can only count in gold.
Please, Simon, my father is not greedy. He only wants a bright future for me.
And your bright future is paved with gold.
Be careful, my son. You are on a slippery road. No holy powers will help you achieve what you want.
If the holy powers will not, then I must...
Don't say it, Simon. You terrify me.
Then I must find my way along another path.
Our mystery drama, The Demon Spirit, was especially adapted from the classic S. Ansky play, The Dybbuk, for the Mystery Theater by Milt Wisoff, and stars Norman Rose and Mason Adams. It is sponsored in part by Buick Motor Division and Anheuser-Busch Incorporated, Brewers of Budweiser. I'll be back shortly with Act One. Black magic is rooted in the darkest corners of our mind and emerges only when we feel the insatiable need for power, money, love, any desire that becomes obsessive when withheld. It has always been so. Man has invoked the aid of spirits since he first evolved. What could be more natural for primitive man than the urge to call upon the supernatural when confronted with the sinister demons of wind, fire, and water? Civilization has only spread a thin veneer over this ancient instinct, a veneer that vanishes completely in our tale concerning a young theological student, pure of spirit, who invokes terrible forces in his quest for love.
It's Simon, Rabbi. I've returned. May I come in?
Simon. Oh, come in, my son. Come in. So you've finally come back. You look so pale and drawn.
I've had a long, hard trip.
Why did you stay away so long? It's been almost a year. We missed you.
Yes, you mean you missed me.
That's not true. Many regard you highly.
But not enough to consider me as a prospective son-in-law.
But Leia thinks well of you.
Not enough to oppose her father's wishes.
There are traditions, Simon. A daughter must obey her father.
Well, it's time we changed them.
Look, Simon, Sender is no monster. He merely wants what he thinks is best for his daughter. Come, Simon, let's talk about you.
There's not much to say.
You're a fool. A bright, intelligent, scholarly fool. Your brilliance was the talk of the community, and then you disappeared. Where did you vanish to?
At first, I just wandered aimlessly, and then one day I heard about this small village where a great scholar and wonder worker lives. A man so steeped in the ritual and lore that he can make miracles.
And did you find him?
Yes, Reb Meyer. I found him after months of wandering.
Is he truly a worker of miracles?
Even more wondrous than I had heard.
Is your wonder worker a student of the Kabbalah?
A master of it. He taught me that man can develop the divine spark within him until he masters the entire universe and all its forces.
You're meddling with something beyond you, Simon. It shows in your fevered eyes, your gauntness. Don't dwell too deeply on these mysteries.
Why not? The Kabbalah tears your soul away from the limits of the earth and lifts you to paradise.
Remember, only 4 wise men succeeded. Only one went in and came out again, unscathed. One died, one went mad, and one lost his faith.
I'm not frightened. They may have failed because they entered paradise for the wrong reason. I want to offer myself as a sacrifice, like the great one who succeeded.
But how can you compare yourself?
I make none. I will follow my own road.
Good night. It's Leia.
Oh, come in, my child. How nice to see you.
I'm not disturbing you, am I?
Not at all. You remember Simon?
Oh, well, of course I do. You've been away, Simon.
Then you noticed.
We missed you, even though you left without a word.
There was nothing more to say.
Red Mara, you promised to show me the embroidered curtains of the Ark.
And so I shall.
Aren't you afraid to be in the temple so late at night?
No, not afraid. Sad and touched. The walls look as if they've been wept over. I wish I could put my arms around this ancient tear-stained wall and never leave.
Tears are everywhere, Leia, not just here.
And happiness, too. How does our Simon seem to you after his long absence?
Pale. Have you been ill?
Yes, but not of the body.
But why do you punish yourself so?
To reach an exalted state. I wish to attain the possession of a clear and sparkling diamond and melt it in my tears. Then inhale its essence into my soul. I want to attain the rays of the third planet of beauty. I want 2 barrels of golden pieces for him who can only count in gold.
Please, Simon. My father's not a greedy man. He only wants a bright future for me.
And your bright future is paved with gold.
Be careful, my son. You're on a slippery road. No holy powers will help you achieve what you want.
And if the holy powers will not, then I must...
Don't say it, Simon. You terrify me.
And I must find my way along another path.
Reb Meyer! Ah, good day to you, Sender. What brings you to the marketplace? Don't you trust your servants?
I was looking for you. I'm bursting with good news.
Yes, I know.
How could you? I've just...
In a closed community, nothing stays secret very long. Congratulations. Who is this paragon you've betrothed your daughter to?
A fine young man, completely worthy of becoming part of my family.
I was curious. Tell me, why did you stand in the way of Simon?
Simon, but he's only a poor student. How would he fit?
With the rich house of Sender? He loves Leia, and I'm sure that she loves him.
She will love her bridegroom as well, I assure you.
How can you guarantee what you cannot control? A heart is not a machine.
I know my daughter. Reb Meyer, I would like to talk to you about the arrangements for the wedding.
No, not here, Sender. Here one buys food and drink, not a life. Come to the temple, and we will talk. have some food for you. And some news.
Reb Meyer, I'm not hungry.
I'm afraid the news I have for you will
It's not news to me. I was there with you at the market. I was there in spirit. I heard everything.
Reb Meyer! Lord's name, open the door!
Let her in, Simon, before she tears the walls down.
Help me with your prayers. Intercede for my daughter, the forlorn widow who is at death's door. Please, I beseech you, help me.
We will pray and hope for the best.
No, I need more than hope. I need help.
And you shall have it.
No, please, don't interfere, Simon.
I must. Now, take this diagram I've drawn, mark it out around your daughter's bed, the circle completely around, and the six-pointed star with the point toward her head. Slaughter a young fowl and touch her forehead with its freshly drawn blood.
Stop that, I forbid this.
What am I to do?
He offers hope. I give you your daughter's life.
Give me the diagram, Simon. I will follow you, and God bless you.
Simon, I asked you not to interfere. You have gone too far.
Not far enough. I still have a long way to go. But I am drawing nearer all the time. Watch, Reb Meyer. This is the Lord of the gods, Lord of the universe, he whom the winds fear. Thee I invoke, the bornless one, thee that didst create the earth and the heavens, the night and the day. Thou art the truth and matter. Into the magic circle, power the hazel wand. Shroud me with a cloak of darkness.
Simon, come back before it is too late.
He has covered me with a raven's wings. He has whispered the unnameable to me. I am master of many arts and skills.
The black arts.
No, Reb Meyer. When the curtain parts, all is visible, black and white alike.
No, Simon. It is time to sleep now. I am tired. You must go now.
I'm no longer welcome here.
You are to me, my son, but not to this temple. Go now.
I'm here, Reb Meyer, to discuss the arrangement.
Sender, you are certain that you want to go through with the marriage?
As certain as I've been of anything in my life.
Sender, I have something to show you. Look at this object in my hand.
Why, it's a golden amulet.
Don't you recognize it?
It looks like the one I presented to you on your birthday. But it cannot be.
Why not?
Because that was not gold, Reb Meyer.
But it is the same amulet, Sender. Sender, I have worked a miracle. Something many men have tried to do all of their lives. I have turned base metal into gold.
I don't believe it.
But it's true. Give me any object and I will convert it to gold for you. Think of it. I can make you rich beyond your wildest dreams.
I couldn't allow you.
Please, Sender, take my offer. Please. All I want is Leah's hand in return.
Impossible. I have given my word.
Weigh your word against gold,
No,
Sender.
I must weigh it against my daughter's happiness. And that is my concern above all. Thank you, Simon. I bear you no ill feelings, but my daughter will be married as soon as Reb Meyer can make the arrangements.
How can that be, Reb Meyer? I've done everything. The fasting. I've worked with the word, the spells, the symbols, all in vain.
What will be, Simon. Stay with me now.
But what remains for me? What is there I can still do? Black Rider, fling back your hood. Demon and master, show me the way. I see. Thank you, the secret is revealed. I see you now. I see him, and I see...
Simon, what is it?
I have won. Reb Meyer, I have won. The bride is mine.
It is said there are 4 indispensable conditions to knowledge and power in the black arts: an intelligence illuminated by study, an intrepidity which nothing can check, a will which nothing can break, and a steadfastness nothing can corrupt. Simon, it seems, was master of all. Will he then prevail even after death? We shall know more when I return shortly with Act 2. How can we explain the strength of superstition? Shall we ascribe it to the primitive, the ignorant? Then how can we explain the fact that British witch covens celebrated All Hallows Eve before tremendous crowds with rites involving the magic circle, the magic knife, weird incantations, and all the other trappings of the occult? Many believe the origin and development of superstition are rooted in fact, that it exists and makes itself known to us. Perhaps we can shed some light on the subject.
Redmire, it's so hard for me to believe that he's gone.
He is, my child. He's buried there. Poor Simon. Everything he did with such intensity. He studied longer, prayed harder than any of my pupils.
And his love?
Was deeper than most. He died for it.
I had a dream that I was wandering in the meadow when a storm arose, and I hid in a small hut until the rain stopped. It was very early morning, and the vapors rose over the fields. And as they swirled, they took shape. Redmire, it was Simon that appeared in my dream. He called to me, but I couldn't hear. And then he beckoned to me to follow him. But when I did, I awoke.
It was a dream.
Nothing more.
We must leave here at once.
Answer me, Redmire. Is Simon stronger than death? Is he still here?
No, Leia. He is dead. You must remember that. He is dead and he will never come to life again. And you must live, my child. You must live with the living. Come now, let us go.
I thought I heard him so clearly.
We'll meet again, my bride, my beautiful Leia. No one can take you from me now.
I'm so happy you could come, Redmire. This would be no wedding without you.
How could I miss such an event?
Did you happen to meet the groom's party? They should have been here by now.
The bridegroom will arrive on time. That's not what you need worry about.
What do you mean?
Nothing, Sander. I meant nothing. Return to your festivities.
So I shall. Everyone into the house. There are silver coins waiting for all of you there. Redmire, please stay with Leia until I return.
I will be here. Leia, child, you're white as a sheet. Did they tire you with the dancing?
Well, it was all so violent. My head swam. I grew faint, and then someone lifted me high in the air and carried me far, far away.
Perhaps you should rest a while. I'll wait outside.
No, Redmire. Stay.
Don't think about demons and evil spirits. Go, Leia. Change your dress. The dancers have stained it. Freshen your beauty and prepare to meet your bridegroom.
No, not yet. Will you come with me in the cemetery?
Why?
To visit my mother. She died when I was still so young. I want to invite her to join my father in leading me to the wedding canopy. And afterward, she will dance with me.
No, Leia, I forbid it.
But it's the custom, Redmire.
Customs are not rigid, my child. You will not dwell with the dead, but with the living.
Then I will invite her from here. Beloved mother, I invite you to my wedding. Come and stand near me under the canopy. Who's there?
Your father, dear. May I come in?
Oh, Father, of course.
Why are you still sitting here, child?
Oh, I was just thinking. Grandmother says I must go to the graveyard.
You have my permission.
But Redmire says I should not go.
He's an old man, set in his ways. Go, child. Go to your mother and shed your tears.
May I invite her to the wedding?
Of course. And your grandfather as well.
And I would also like to invite someone who is not related.
It is forbidden. If you invite a stranger, the other dead may take offense.
He's not a stranger. In our house, he was like one of us.
I think I hear. Yes, it is the wedding party. Your bridegroom, Menashe, he's arrived at last.
But, Father, I want to...
Not now, Leia. I must meet the wedding party. Hello, wait there. I'm coming. Welcome, Menashe. How was the trip?
Oh, we had a hard and bitter journey. We lost the road and wandered about the fields for a long time.
Menashe, you're shivering. Are you cold?
Yes, I felt this chill since I approached your town. Penetrates the marrow of my bones and fills me with an uncertain and unknown dread.
What is it you fear?
I don't know.
Come, let's have a drink on your safe arrival. It will warm you and drive away the demons. Who is it?
Open the door, Sender.
What is she? What's happened?
What is it, Redmire? It's Leia. Bring her in.
What?
Put her on the couch.
My baby.
What has happened?
You can go now, all of you.
What is it, Redmire? My God, is she... No. She's in a coma.
How still she is. How lovely.
How did this happen? She went to the grave, despite my warning, and wept. And then suddenly she started to talk incoherently. No one could make out a word she was saying. And then she fainted. Leia, do you hear me? Everything will be all right.
Who is it, this man?
This is Menashe, your bridegroom.
No, that's a lie. He's not my bridegroom, nor will he ever be.
My child. What has come over you?
I will not marry Menashe or any other man I do not choose.
Sleep now, Leia. Sleep and rest. We will talk about this in the morning.
But we were to be married at noon.
Yes. Is it wise to delay? Not wise, perhaps, but necessary. If you value the life of your daughter. Where is the physician? He had to leave. There was no point in keeping him any longer. Did you do as I told you? Yes, I summoned the wise man of Bratislav. He will come, but it will be days before he's here. Leia, how do you feel?
I'm tired. I'm so tired. Where am I?
Where you have always been, in your home.
Turn down the light. My eyes, I've been in dark places so long.
You're back now. God be praised.
It was so cold where I've been.
You'll feel better now that you're with us again.
I feel nothing, Father. Empty. Everything is so empty. I must go back again.
Try to get out of bed, child.
I have no place here.
What's happening, Redmire? Her voice, Leia. Leia, open your eyes.
I cannot stay. I cannot stay.
Wake up, child. Listen to your father.
You are not my father. You are not any part of me. Burning sulfur. I'm filled with the smell of burning.
Leia, in the name of God, Leia, come back.
If I do, it will not be in that name.
2 days, Redmire. 2 days she lies there, and still no sign of the wise man. He will come, Sender. Be patient.
Be patient? How can I? She was all I lived for. I have no patience either, Redmire. I love her so deeply. I cannot wait until we are man and wife.
But you hardly know her.
I know her as well as I have ever known anyone. She is dear to me. What more can I say?
Open the door, Menashe. A good day to you, Reb Nissen.
And a good day to you, Redmire.
Thank God you've come. We've waited so eagerly.
That's not an easy journey from Bratislav, you know.
Can I offer you something?
No. I wish to examine your daughter first. Oh, poor child. She hardly seems more than that. How long has she had that mark on her cheek?
I have never noticed it. It seems more like a shadow.
Yes, a dark shadow. I've seen it before. I will try to rouse her. God's world is great and holy. The holiest land is the land of Israel. In the land of Israel, the holiest city is Jerusalem. In Jerusalem, the holiest place was the temple.
Holy, unholy, and sacrilegious. Evil is the whole.
Where have you come from, Spirit?
I have risen from repose to bring an end to all this.
Who are you?
I am Leah, daughter of Sender, beloved of Simon.
Beloved of Menashe.
Be quiet, Menashe. Do not interfere.
Rest easy, Spirit. Hear me out. At the edge of the world stands a tall mountain, and on the mountain lies a great rock, and from the rock flows a clear spring. At the other edge of the world is its heart, and it gazes at the cool spring, and cannot have its fill of looking, but it cannot take the slightest step toward the spring.
But I can't...
You are awake, my child.
Have I been sleeping?
Yes, you have for several days.
I feel so tired. I'm so tired.
Is she all right?
Yes, she sleeps naturally now.
Oh, thank you, Reb Nissen.
When she awakes, can we have the wedding ceremony?
We must wait and see, Menashe.
No, Reb Meyer. We must not wait. We must try the wedding as soon as possible. There is no time to lose.
Help me, Father. I feel so weak.
Of course, my darling. I should have known. Here, take my arm.
Stand by me, Mother. It is such a difficult way for me.
She is here with you, as are all who love you. Friends, it's time for the ceremony. There's your Menashe. Look at him. So tall, so handsome.
Quicker, Father. We must hurry.
As we stand under this canopy...
I will not stand under it.
Come, closer, Leah.
No, come under the canopy. I will not.
Send her, usher her under.
Ready the candles for the sleeping dead to wake till they are burnt down and spent. This is our final song until we return where we belong.
Be still, my child. In the name of the King, our Lord, be still.
Rouse the steps carefully, for this place is chosen ground. 7 times we turn around within the magic circle. 7 times we turn about.
Menashe, do you take this woman to be your wife?
With all my heart.
Leah, do you take this man for your husband?
Never!
Leah!
Never! He is not my bridegroom!
Reb Meyer, continue.
Never! Holy bridegroom, protect me! Holy bridegroom, save me from this! I call upon you! Save me!
Reb Meyer, pronounce them man and wife.
Reb Meyer, you will never pronounce them man and wife. They do not belong with each other.
Simon, is that you?
Aye. It is Simon, Reb Meyer, come back for my destined bride, and I will never leave her again.
You must not do this, Simon.
Simon, what is happening here?
Yes, Simon, my greedy friend. Simon, you murderer. You killed me, but you could not kill our love.
Reb Nissen, my daughter. She's gone mad.
No, Sender, not mad. She has been possessed by a Dybbuk. An evil spirit has control over her.
The belief in possession is an ancient one. From the earliest times, men have been fascinated with the possibility that our earthly shell can be taken over by an alien form. And the horror of it haunts us, even today. How does a body become possessed? And how can we exorcise it? We shall find out when I return shortly with Act 3. How did this act of possession begin? Certainly the setting of the Dybbuk was its basis. A closed world which, despite its proximity to the 20th century, had not as yet purged itself of faith in magic-making. A world heavily tarnished with superstition. And yet, it was a world pervaded by a mystic sense of the immediacy of God, of the miraculous, and the power of man. In such a world, the natural and the supernatural, the living and the dead, seem to flow across one another in a continual contact. A world where the daily routine of life absorbs and becomes a symbol of eternity.
Please, Reb, listen. I know you're tired, but my daughter lies in grave danger. Her soul is at stake.
I know. The misery and anguish of the world reach out to me. Every plea pierces me as a needle, and I have no more strength. I can go no further.
Rabbi, you cannot desert me in my hour of need. Help me. Save my child.
If I can. Now, the Dybbuk. You knew him well.
He ate at my house regularly until he left one day. When he returned to our town, he was meddling with the Kabbalah and came to grief.
By what powers?
They say by evil spirits.
Did you cause him pain or shame? Try to remember.
I don't know. I don't remember.
All right. Bring in the girl.
Come in, Leah. Come in, my child. Don't you hear me? Come in.
I won't.
Leah, dearest, have pity. Don't shame me. Come in.
I want to obey, Father, but I cannot.
Maiden, I command you, come in and sit down.
Let me go. I refuse.
Dybbuk, I command you to say, why did you enter the body of this maiden?
I am her destined bride.
Our holy Torah forbids the dead to abide among the living.
I am not dead.
You are departed from our world. You are forbidden to return until the great ram's horn is heard. Therefore, I command you to leave the body of this girl.
Reb, listen. I know how powerful you are, how invincible. I know that you can command the angels, but you cannot sway me.
Wandering soul, I feel great pity for you. I will try to release you from destroying angels, but you must leave the body of this girl.
I will not leave.
Dybbuk, soul of one who left our world, I command you to leave this body, and in leaving not to harm her nor any other living creature. If you do not obey, I will proceed against you with anathema and excommunication, with all the powers of exorcism.
I do not fear your anathemas, and I do not believe in your assurances.
In the name of Almighty God, I charge you for the last time. Go, or I will give you over into the hands of the destroying angel.
In the name of Almighty God, I have joined with my destined bride, and I will not part from her forever.
Send her, have white robes brought. Bring 7 ram's horns, 7 black candles. Then take from the holy ark the 7 sacred scrolls.
Wait, Reb, listen. Do you believe in justice?
In justice and in truth?
Then I demand that Sender be brought before a rabbinical court. I demand a trial.
On what charges?
I charge Sender with spilling my blood. I am the son of Abraham ben Rivka. I bring charges of an obligation that Sender had to my father, which he did not fulfill.
In that case, I will postpone the exorcism until tomorrow noon. Sender, do you remember the Dybbuk's father, Abraham?
But he's dead these many years.
Know then that you will be summoned to trial to answer his charges.
Heaven help me. What does he want of me? What should I do?
You must accept the summons.
I will do as you say.
Send for the bridegroom Menashe. He must be at the trial as well. When the Dybbuk leaves, the marriage will take place.
Almighty God,
Help me to find peace.
Judges, sit beside me. We can begin the trial. I call upon Sender.
I am here, Reb Nissen.
Will you accept the verdict of this court?
Yes.
Will you carry out our decision?
I will.
Sender, Abraham claims that in your youth, you were students, that your souls were bound together in loyal friendship. You were both married in the same week, and each of you pledged that if his wife should conceive and bear a child, the one a boy, the other a girl, the children should wed.
Yes, it was so.
He died soon after, but you grew rich, and Abraham's son was poor. You turned your gaze from him and sought other matches for your daughter among families of wealth and station. Abraham saw how his son was plunged into despair and went wandering, seeking new ways. And the powers of blackness spread their nets for him and captured him. Sender, did you hear the charges? What do you have to say in your defense?
I have no words for my defense. None. But I beg my old comrade to spare my child. For I did nothing out of ill will, I swear to you, Abraham. After you departed, I did not know what happened to your wife. She left our village for the home of her people. I never knew she had a son.
Abraham asks why, when his son was received into your home, sat at your table, you never inquired who he was.
I do not know. But I can swear I was always drawn to him.
Abraham declares that deep in your heart you recognize Simon. That is why you never asked who he was. You sought riches for your daughter, and in doing so, you thrust his son into the abyss.
I cannot say. I have no answer.
This tribunal has heard the arguments and now delivers its verdict. Sender, you are held guilty on the charges brought by Abraham. You will give half your wealth to the poor, and as long as you live, you will light a memorial candle on the anniversary of the death of Abraham and Simon, and recite the prayers for the dead as though they were your own children. Now, let us proceed with the marriage ceremony. Dybbuk, in the name of this holy congregation and the great Sanhedrin of Jerusalem, I command you for the last time to depart.
I will not leave.
Members of the congregation, don your robes. Sender, distribute the 7 horns and the 7 scrolls.
Yes.
Stubborn spirit, since you are not humble unto our command, I give you over into the power of the higher spirits to expel you by force. Blow the ram's horns.
Let me go.
Do not drag me. I will not. I cannot leave.
Since the higher powers cannot conquer you, I will give you over into the middle powers that are neither good nor evil. Let them, by whatever cruel means at their disposal, tear you out. Sound the horns.
Angels and hosts, help me!
And I declare you excommunicated from all of Israel by the sentence of the angels, by the decree of the saints. We anathemize, cut off, and curse you. The Lord blot out his name under heaven and set him apart for destruction. Sound the horns.
I can struggle no more.
Do you submit?
I submit.
Do you promise of your own free will to depart and never return?
I promise. Recite the prayer of the dead for me. My appointed time runs out.
Say Kaddish for his soul.
Oh, Father, I'm so sad. Help me.
Do not be sad. Let your heart be light, and may holy cherubim cradle you in their wings.
Do you hear? They're going to dance around the holy grave so that my dead mother may rejoice.
Do not tremble, child. Do not be afraid. You are guarded by 60 giants with drawn swords. Our holy patriarchs protect you from evil.
Simon, I hear your voice, but I cannot see you.
A forbidden circle rings you round.
Your voice sounds as sweet as the weeping of a violin on a silent night. Oh, who are you?
I have forgotten. Only in your thoughts can I remember myself.
I remember now. My heart was drawn to you as a bright star. On silent nights, I have shed sweet tears. And always in my dreams, I saw... Was it you?
It was.
Yes, I remember. Your hair was soft and it glistened as though with tears. Day and night I thought of you. Return to me, my bridegroom, my husband. I will carry you in death in my heart. And in my dreams we will rock our unborn babes. We will sew them clothes and sing them lullabies.
The wedding procession has started, Leia. We must go.
They come to lead me to the canopy with a stranger. Come to me, my bridegroom. Oh, I see you. A light upon the wall. The barrier is broken. Come to me.
I am coming.
A great light flows about me. I am joined with you, my destined bridegroom.
Too late. Blessed be the true judge. May their poor souls find rest.
And so the demon bridegroom and his bride are joined until the Great Awakening. A small gravestone marks the place where Leia, daughter of Sender, is interred. But none of the villagers in the closed world believe it is her final resting place. Steeped in superstition, they cast an eye over the shoulder when they pass the grave. I'll be back shortly. We scoff at the supernatural, but not in the dark, when strange sounds echo. And even the most rational of us find more and more natural what was once deemed the supernatural. Minds have been linked across great separations of space without visible means of contact. If mental telepathy and magic shapes exist, why not other forces still branded as the supernatural? Our cast included Norman Rose, Mason Adams, Marian Seldes, Nat Polen, Joe Silver, and Jack Grimes. The entire production was under the direction of Hyman Brown.
Now, a preview of our next tale.
Why did you leave the stage after the Chopin?
I can't go on, Lottie.
After performing a miracle, you can't go on. The entire audience is on its feet calling for you, and you can't go on.
After what just happened?
What did happen out there, Mr. Klein?
It was as if... Oh, you're Anton Volberg.
Yes. Well, go on. Tell me, what happened to you?
Well, some force suddenly gripped my right arm, began to pull my right hand off the keyboard. I didn't know what was happening to me. I thought I was having some sort of seizure. I was going mad, or I don't know what.
And then?
My left hand kept playing.
You mean you kept playing with your left hand?
No, Lottie, no. My right arm. It was forced down to my side, and I was scared. I was so scared I couldn't have gone on playing with my left, and I didn't. It did.
Radio Mystery Theater was sponsored in part by Anheuser-Busch Incorporated, Brewers of Budweiser, and Buick Motor Division. This is E.G. Marshall inviting you to return to our Mystery Theater for another adventure in the macabre. Until next time, pleasant dreams. Come in. Welcome. I'm E.G. Marshall. Won't you join me? It's dark and cozy inside here. The perfect place to curl up and listen to another tale of suspense and danger. This time, it's the story of a very unusual get-rich-quick scheme. But even though our story is educational and instructive, we don't want you to listen in the hopes of duplicating our hero's plan for instant wealth. You may find it difficult to begin where he begins, by dying a violent death. Because after that, what do you do for an encore?
Jerry, this is crazy. You'll never get away with it.
I am getting away with it.
But they'll find out.
No, they'll never catch on. And before I'm through, I'll be the richest dead man in the world.
Our mystery drama, Bury Me Again, was written especially for the Mystery Theater by Henry Slesar and stars Michael Tolan. It is sponsored in part by Buick Motor Division and Contact, the 12-hour cold capsule. I'll be back shortly with Act One. Some people think that the sound of a train whistle fading into the distance is probably the most melancholy sound in the world. But the people aboard those trains, which crisscross the country, can be melancholy too. As the cracked Chicago Express streaks into the dark stretch of track between Union Station and the town of Fairmont, one of those passengers is staring gloomily into his own reflection in the soot-darkened window. It may be interesting to follow his thoughts.
Minus $10,000. Minus $10,000. That's where I'm at after 36 years of living. 36 years of working and sweating and dreaming dreams that never had a prayer of coming through. I owed McGinnis the same $6,000 I'd owed him for 2 years, even after making him payments amounting to twice that much. And then there were the bills. The dentist, the credit card company, the automobile dealer. No, I could scratch that one. The car had been repossessed just the other day. That's why I was taking the train instead of driving to Fairmont. Not that I expected it to do much good. The chances of hitting my maiden Aunt Hilda for money were pretty slim. But when you're down, you'll try anything. And with the thought of McGinnis and his goons coming around for payday again, I was ready for anything at all. But maybe not quite ready for what happened.
Pardon me, is this seat taken?
Huh? Oh, no. It's all right. Sit down.
Oh, thanks. You know, I haven't been in a dining car in years. I didn't know they still have them.
Heck, some people don't know there are still trains running.
I guess that's so. Everybody thinks in terms of flying these days.
I don't like to fly myself. Heck, for most trips, you don't save any time anyway. By the time you get to and from the airport...
Yeah, I suppose so.
Yeah, you do a lot of traveling?
Not if I can avoid it.
Well, I can't, unfortunately. I'm one of those traveling salesmen you hear about. But you know something? I never met a farmer's daughter in my life.
How do you get a drink here?
I've been wondering that for the last 15 minutes.
Well, it looks like you've got a drink.
Oh, sure. That's my own private stock. I always carry a pint bottle with me on these long train trips just to break the monotony. Yeah. Come on, give me a water glass.
Hey, that's very kind of you.
My pleasure. Well, here's looking at you.
Right. And here's to the farmer's daughter. Maybe you'll meet her this trip.
Yeah. Just hope my wife doesn't find out.
My dinner companion wasn't the most scintillating conversationalist in the world, but he was company, and I guess I needed that. I also didn't mind the private stock he carried. Every drink aboard that train cost $1.50. So when he told me that he had still another bottle, I suggested we continue our talk in the club car. The only thing wrong was that he did all the talking, and the more he drank, the more he talked.
Money, my friend. M-U-N-N-Y. That's the answer to the whole darn thing. You take my word for it. Somebody gives you that happiness baloney, you just walk away, pal. Walk away.
You don't have to convince me, brother. I've already been convinced.
Listen. You ever figure it out? Figure out one of those things like assets and liabilities?
That's all I've got, liability.
You know what I mean? Like how much you're worth, how much you're really worth. Well, I can tell you. You, me, everybody else, we're worth more dead than alive. Am I right?
Yeah, you're right.
You betcha.
That's what insurance is all about.
You betcha. That's what I mean. That's what insurance is all about.
You're not an insurance salesman, are you?
No, not me. No, I'm not a liquor salesman either. Too bad about that, isn't it? Hey, bottle's almost empty. Don't worry, friend. Don't you worry. There's more where I came from.
There was plenty more. Plenty more whiskey, plenty more talk. Until something happened that sobered up the evening fast. I don't know how long I was unconscious. Judging from the things that were happening around me, it couldn't have been more than a few minutes after the crash. After the express had plowed into the freight train and had somehow been switched into a cab. I felt lousy, but I was still in one piece. When the impact came, I fell against the leather sofa and it toppled over me. When the hard stuff came down, I had a built-in bomb shelter. Nobody else around me was so lucky. I saw the traveling salesman, and I knew he was never going to meet that farmer's daughter. Then I saw something else. The money that peeked out of his wallet, still nice and green. I had the sense to grab the wallet before I crawled out of the overturned car. I stood up as soon as I felt cold air on my face. Within seconds after I left the wreck, the tiny fires that had been burning all around got together in one giant ball of flame. I never saw such a hungry fire in my life. I knew there wasn't going to be much left of anything or anyone. And then I saw the people. They were all over the place, dozens of them, flashing searchlights, shouting to each other.
Hey, mister! Hey!
Yeah? What is it?
Are you okay?
Yes, I'm all right. I'm just a little shook up.
Oh, they're putting up a first aid station down this line. Want me to help you over there?
No, I'm all right, thanks.
No, I'd better take you there.
Oh, well, okay. Thanks. Hey, listen, what town is this?
We're just outside of Hopkins Falls. We heard the crash all the way to town. Sounded like a bomb went off.
She took me to the first aid station, and a guy in a dirty white uniform helped me inside.
What's your name?
I can't think. I'm all mixed up.
Yes, well, maybe you'd better lie down for a while, mister.
No. I'm okay.
We're setting up a hospital station. We'll have a car take you there if you like. It'll be a while before the ambulance gets here.
No, I'm not hurt. I'm just mixed up. Is it far to town?
You're really in no condition to walk.
Just tell me how far it is.
Well, about a quarter of a mile in that direction.
Thanks. That's all I want to know. Well, Hopkins Falls wasn't much of a town. There were a bunch of frame houses leaning on each other for support. And the only electric sign in the place was the one I wanted. It said hotel. It took me quite a while to find the desk clerk lurking behind the rubber plants in the lobby. He looked at me curiously and spun the register in my direction. I chuckled when I saw the empty page. When I asked for a room with bath, he almost swallowed his store teeth. I signed the register Benedict Arnold and went up to the shabby room on the second floor. When I closed the door behind me, all I could do was head for that bed. The springs gave in with a rusty sigh, but I couldn't care less. Sleep hit me like a TKO. I woke up the next morning with a pain in my hip. At first I thought I'd broken a bone, but then I realized it was only the bulge of the wallet in my trouser pocket. I counted the money. $110. It would be enough for a little while. Then I picked up the phone. Hello, this is Mr. Arnold, room 202. You got any room service in this place? Yeah, breakfast. Yeah, that's exactly what I want. Fried eggs, bacon, toast, coffee. Oh, how about the morning paper? The paper in yet? Any news about the wreck? Fine, good. Be sure to send that up, too. The breakfast was no better than I expected. The toast was soggy, the coffee watery, and the eggs almost inedible. But the local paper, that was something else. The train wreck had taken over the whole rag, all 4 sheets of it. It was probably the biggest news that ever hit this whistle stop. I turned to the casualty list. It wasn't complete, but it had what I wanted. So I grabbed the phone. I want to make a call, long distance. Hello, operator? I'd like to place a call to Chicago, person to person, Mrs. Gerald Horton, 1240 Lafayette Street. I'm in room 202. The name is Arnold. First initial B.
Hello?
Myrna?
What?
Is that you, Myrna?
Who is this?
Is anybody with you? It's Jerry.
Jerry? Where are you calling from?
A town called Hopkins Corner or something like that. Listen, are you alone?
Well, yes, of course I'm alone. But why are you talking this way?
Because this hotel has walls like tissue paper, that's why. Myrna, did you read about the wreck?
The wreck? What are you talking about?
The train, the Chicago train. It hit something, a stalled freight train. Dozens of people were killed.
Oh, my God. Jerry, are you okay?
Quiet. Yes, I'm okay. I got a little banged up. Nothing serious.
Oh, thank God. But why aren't you in a hospital?
I don't need a hospital. I told you I'm not hurt. I'm just dead.
What?
You heard me. I'm dead, honey.
What are you talking about?
Myrna, listen carefully. There's been a mistake out here. A big mistake. And we're going to make the most of it, understand?
No.
Well, listen and you will. They got me down on the local casualty list. They think I'm dead. Do you get what I'm saying? They've listed me as dead.
But how can that be?
Well, I must have helped it along a little. I switched wallets with a guy. His was fatter than mine, but he had no use for it anyway. But then the whole train caught fire. He must have been burned beyond recognition. But the wallet was okay.
Why, that's awful. You'll have to tell them.
No, I don't have to tell them a thing. Why should I?
But what for?
No, now listen. What's the only valuable thing we own?
What?
You know about the insurance policy?
Yes.
$75,000. $75,000. More money than we could save in a lifetime.
But we can't collect it. Not if you're
I'm going to stay dead, Myrna. Understand?
Jerry!
You're going into mourning for me. Then you're going to get a check for $75,000 from the insurance company. You're going to slap that money into the bank. Then we're going to wait a while and leave town.
But how...
You and me and the money makes 3. Now do you get it?
Jerry, that's illegal.
What do you mean illegal? We're only ripping off an insurance company, honey. That's what I call fair game.
Well, we've just heard an old adage disproved, that dead men tell no tales. Obviously, here is one dead man who is doing exactly that. A tale of deceit and deception, and very possibly danger. We'll find out how good a job our friend does of staying dead when I return shortly with Act 2. Jerry Horton didn't get to see much of the town of Hopkins Falls. He spent the next few days in his room, thinking, drinking, and making plans. It was a pity. The quiet, rustic atmosphere and the countryside might have soothed the savage temperament of the man. But Jerry Horton was far too excited by an image of the future. However, since this is Jerry's story, we'll let him tell you the rest.
The $110 lasted me 5 days. It bought me a new suit of clothes at the local emporium, my room and meals, and a bus ticket back to Chicago. I bought myself a cardboard valise, too. I figured a traveling man with a suitcase was less obvious in a crowd. On Friday morning, I put the local phone book, the Gideon Bible, and a couple of hotel towels into the valise and said goodbye. It was a long bus ride, but it seemed short to me. I had all kinds of things to think about. Plans for spending that money. Thinking about McGinnis's face when I finally handed him the $6,000 I owed him, all in one neat bundle. Hey, that was an idea. I'd put it all in $1 bills and make him stay up half the night counting it. And if I know McGinnis, that's exactly what he would do. And then I was back in Chicago, ready to call good old Myrna.
Hello?
Myrna?
Jerry!
For God's sake, don't say my name.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Are you alone?
Yes, I'm alone. Where are you?
At the bus terminal.
Oh, I've been so scared. You have no idea how scared I've been.
What for?
Well, I'm just so nervous about the whole thing.
What's been happening?
Well, they sent your body back. The funeral was Tuesday.
Good. Great. Was it a nice crowd?
Well, not too big. Sandy and Jane couldn't make it, but Dorothy and Tom were there, and Mother was going to fly in from L.A., but I told her not to bother. I mean, well, it seemed silly.
You didn't tell her anything?
Well, no, of course not. Do you think I'm crazy? Do you think I could tell her that it was some perfect stranger I was putting in the ground? Oh, Jerry, it was awful. I mean, we picked out that plot together and everything. I was going to be right next to you.
Never mind that stuff. We've got more important things to worry about. Living things.
Oh, what are you going to do now?
I don't know yet. I'm broke. I don't even have enough money for a hotel room.
But you can't come here.
I know I can't come there, but I've got to eat. So you got to help me. Look, you put about $300 in an envelope and address it to John Nolan, care of the Montgomery Hotel. Did you get that name?
Yes, John Nolan, Montgomery Hotel.
Don't write it down. You can remember it. Yeah, John Nolan, care of the Montgomery. I'll check in there this morning. Don't try to reach me. That's just asking for trouble. You got it?
But what if somebody recognizes you?
Don't worry about it. You know the Montgomery's out of our class. Look, try and make it small bills, okay? No use attracting more attention than I have to. Okay?
Yes. Okay. Oh, Jerry, I hope we're doing the right thing.
You'll see how right it is when that money comes in, Myrna. I spent that night in the bus terminal. I hunted out the softest bench and stashed my things under it. When I woke up, I had 19 bones out of place.
but I was still feeling chipper. I went into the terminal lavatory and washed up as best I could. It was a fine, sunny day out, and the weather suited my mood. You know how it is. Some days, everything goes right. I walked the dozen blocks to the Montgomery Hotel. It was out of my class, all right. Was, that is. A chunk of white sandstone rising 40 stories from the street in straight, clean lines, ringed by a fence of evenly spaced trees. The doorman looked like he'd won every decoration from the Congressional Medal on down. It felt good walking on the wine-colored carpet that led into the plush lobby, knowing there was money and a hot shower waiting for me inside. I walked up to the desk like a bored millionaire and scratched my unshaven cheek in a kind of wry manner, like I was a playboy who was out on the town all night.
Yes, sir. May I help you?
I'd like a room, please.
Did you have a reservation?
No, I don't, but can you fix me up with something anyway?
Yes, sir, I'm sure we can. If you'll just sign the register.
I believe you may be holding some mail for me. I told some friends I'd be stopping here.
What name, sir?
Nolan, John Nolan.
Well, let me check. No, I don't see anything for... Oh, wait a minute. Here it is.
Oh, thank you very much.
Front.
My room at the Montgomery wasn't fancy. Just a nice room with not much of a view. But I liked it better after a shower and shave. And when I flopped on the big sofa bed, I opened the envelope, lit a cigarette, and counted the money. There were $240 in it, and a note that said, "Sorry, all I could get, M." Well, it didn't really matter. It would be enough to take care of me for a few days. Then the insurance agent would be around to see Myrna, and money like this would be only car fare. I felt so good that I decided to spend some of it on the best meal I could buy in the hotel restaurant. I was just finishing up when my luck threatened to turn.
Well, for Pete's sake. It's Lefty, isn't it? Lefty, you're in high school, right?
I'm sorry. I think you must have the wrong guy.
Hey, did I change that much? Yeah, I guess maybe I have. I don't know where all the hair went. Down the sink, I guess. Douglas is the name, remember? Kenny Douglas.
No, I'm afraid I don't.
Oh, I can't be that wrong. I've got a good memory for faces. Not so great on names, maybe, but they called you Lefty because of the baseball team.
I'm sorry, mister. I must look like this friend of yours, but I'm not him. I never went to Union High. I never went to any high school, as a matter of fact.
Well, I could have sworn.
And as you can see, I'm eating with my right hand.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, but you sure look like the guy, or the way he would look 20 years later. I'm sorry to have bothered you.
By the time the guy had left my table, I was covered in sweat from head to foot. Oh, I remembered Kenny Douglas all right. I think I still had his monogrammed cigarette case in his shoebox at home. He was a snotty rich kid. It had been a pleasure to rip him off. But right now, it was relief to see him leave. And a relief to switch the fork back to my left hand. After the third day, I started getting anxious.
Hello?
Myrna, it's Jerry. Can you talk?
No, not right now. Some of the girls are over, you know.
All right. Just be careful what you say. Just answer yes or no, understand?
I can hardly hear you.
Now just be quiet and listen. Has the insurance company contacted you at all?
Yes. There's a man here only this morning.
A man?
Yes, from the claim department.
Well, why are they sending somebody from the claim department? There's nothing to claim. I'm dead.
Well, he was here just the same. He said it might take a while before the payment was made. He was very nice.
I don't care if he was tall, dark, and handsome. What's this baloney about it taking a while?
Well, it's a lot of money. $150,000 is an awful lot of money.
What are you talking about? Our policy was for $75,000.
Yes, but there's the double indemnity clause, you see? I mean, the face value doubles because of you being... I mean, because of the accident.
150? My God, that's a fortune. We're rich. We're really rich.
The only thing is, they have to make sure.
Sure of what?
The identification, don't you see? Everybody was so burned up in that terrible
For
wreck.
Pete's sake, I was identified. I read my name in the paper on the casualty list.
Well, he said it'd be all right. He said it was just a matter of a couple of days.
It better be all right. I'm running out of cash. I won't be able to afford the hotel bill.
I just can't send you any more money. I don't have a cent.
All right. All right, then. But when you get that check in your hands, you better get on that phone right away. Understand?
Yes, I understand.
John Nolan, Montgomery Hotel. Don't do anything with the money. Just wait for my instructions.
All right. I'll wait. But I'm still so scared.
$150,000. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't imagine money like that. I kept seeing the way that check would look, that long string of numbers. I began to see visions of things I'd wanted since the day I was born. It was all I could do to keep myself from running down to the auto showroom and placing an order for the biggest, shiniest car in the window. But I had to wait. The money wasn't there yet. There was still one more step to go. I was a little worried about Myrna's visitor from the insurance company, but I knew that things would work out all right. This was my lucky time of life, and nothing was going to spoil it. Then, just one day later...
Oh, Mr. Nolan.
Yes?
There was a call for you while you were out this afternoon. It was a lady, Mrs. Nolan, I think.
Uh-huh. Thanks very much. My hands were shaking so bad that I could hardly dial Myrna's number. When she didn't answer right away, I started to panic. She wouldn't be calling me unless it was all set. She must have the money in her hand, and I had to make sure that it went to the right place. It wasn't that I suspected Myrna of any hanky-panky. I had no reason to suspect her of anything. But who knows what someone will do when they're looking at a piece of paper that says 150,000.
Hello?
Myrna, it's me.
Oh, thank heavens. I was getting so worried.
Where were you? The phone must have rung 10 times.
Well, I just got in this second. I was down at the insurance company.
You went there to get the money?
They asked me to come down, Jerry. I was so upset, I almost fainted.
Well, don't worry about it. You're the grieving widow. You're supposed to be upset.
But you don't understand. They didn't call me about the money. Only about, I don't know what you call it. Exhume something.
What?
Jerry, they want to open your grave.
They can't do that. It's against the law.
They said they wanted my cooperation. They asked me to sign a paper.
Don't do it. Don't sign a thing. They can't force you to do such a thing.
Well, they said that if I didn't sign it, they'd have to get a court order.
They're bluffing. They can't do anything like that. They've already identified that body as me, and once is good enough.
Oh, Jerry, what should I do? What should I tell them? Should I get a lawyer?
No, don't get a lawyer yet. Let me think. Let me figure out something and call you back. There's got to be something I can figure out.
As Robert Burns once told us, the best laid plans of mice and men oft go astray. Even the plans of dead men, it seems. But I think we have a resourceful gentleman here who won't let a mere detail stand between him and his dream. Will the insurance investigators create a rude awakening? Or will our hero find some way to put the number 150,000 into his little green book? Just wait right there, and I'll return with the answers shortly in Act 3. It's a time of tension for the man in the Montgomery Hotel. Now every hour seems to stretch ahead interminably. The watch ticking on his wrist seems to have hands made of lead. But as he paces his hotel room, smoking endless cigarettes, downing pots of lukewarm hotel coffee, he seems to have arrived at no solution to his dilemma. And then...
Yes?
It's me.
I told you not to call me direct. I said always leave a message with the desk clerk.
I've got to talk to you.
All right. What's happening?
They got the order, Jerry.
Oh, Lord.
There was nothing I could do to stop them. They said I was wrong to have you buried so fast, that there was too much money involved.
Listen, you don't think they suspect anything?
No, I don't think so. I've been careful, I swear I have.
Those insurance guys are sharp, you know.
I'm telling you, I haven't done anything wrong. I've been crying my eyes out just as if you really got killed. Everybody keeps telling me that I'm taking it too hard. What they don't know is that I'm scared.
All right. Just calm down. Maybe things aren't that bad.
How could they be worse?
You didn't see what I saw after that train wreck. After the explosion. They had pictures in the local papers. The victims didn't look human anymore, I'm telling you. They were just like pieces of charcoal.
How awful.
Even if they open that coffin, they won't see anything but a handful of ashes. So stop worrying.
Are you sure, Jerry?
I'm sure. At least I think I'm sure.
And what if they figure out that it's somebody else?
Okay, so we lose the bread. The wrong man got identified. It wasn't anybody's fault, right? And as for me, I guess I'll be just another runaway husband.
Jerry, you don't mean that.
No, don't worry. You'll be seeing me again. Broke as usual. Unless our luck holds. Pray that it holds, baby.
Oh, Jerry, you never call me baby anymore.
Never mind what I call you. You call me the minute anything happens. The next couple of days were the worst of my life. There was nothing I could do but concentrate on that phone. Stare at it, waiting for it to ring. After a while, I started yelling at it, ordering it to ring, like some kind of nut. But it stayed silent. It just stared back at me until I got so jumpy that I had to get out of the room. But I wasn't on the street for 5 minutes before I found myself heading back for the lobby and demanding to know if there'd been any calls for me. The answer was always no. And then, on the morning of the third day after Myrna's call, when I wasn't even thinking about the phone, it rang. Hello?
Jerry, it's me.
I've been going nuts here. Why didn't you call me before?
There was nothing to say. You told me to call you when something happened.
Well, something must have happened by now. Did they exhume the body?
Yes, they did.
Well, go on.
Jerry, it was just like you said. I didn't see the body, but the insurance man told me about it. He said he felt awful describing it to me, but he thought I should be told. Jerry, there were only ashes in that coffin.
Thank the Lord.
I was so scared, but it's all right now. Everything is all right.
No, it won't be all right until you've got that money.
But I do have it.
What?
That's what I'm calling about. I've got the check. It's right here in front of me. $150,000. I never knew there was that much money in the world.
Okay, now listen close. Here's the way we're going to handle it. The first thing you do is deposit the check to the regular account.
Yeah, I was going to do that this morning. I was so afraid to have such a big check in the house.
All right, so deposit it. And then go to the Chemical National Bank, the one on Clover Street, near the Arch. You know the one I mean?
Yes, but what for?
Just listen and do what I say. You go to that bank and say you want to open a joint savings account for you and your husband. Only now, you're Mrs. John Nolan. Understand?
But I can't open an account by myself.
Yes, you can sign all the papers there. And then collect the forms that I have to sign. Understand?
Yes, I see.
Put all the forms in an envelope and send them to me here at the Montgomery.
All right. I'll get them in the mail as soon as possible.
No, you can drop them off in person at the desk. The Montgomery is right around the corner from the bank. Leave it at the front desk for Mr. Nolan.
But I don't see how that'll work. Why don't I just cash the check?
Shut up and listen to me. This is the safest way to handle it. Once you have the money deposited in our regular checking account, you can write a check for the whole amount to John Nolan. There. Now do you get it?
You mean I deposit the money in the new account.
That's just what I mean. And after that, well, I'll let you know the rest of the plan. Have you got it all straight?
Yes, Jerry. I'll do just what you said.
That's my girl. It was cloud nine time. I felt like I was floating, like I was drunk on expensive champagne. And it wouldn't be too long before I was. I was mentally throwing out every shabby suit in my closet and replacing them with custom-made threads. I was so stuffed with dreams that the next few hours passed by in a pink haze. Hello?
Mr. Nolan, I have an envelope here for you. Shall I send it up?
Yeah, thanks. Send it right up. Myrna had followed her instructions perfectly. I filled out the joint account application, signed John Nolan in a sweeping hand, and then took the forms to the Chemical National Bank myself. I wanted them to get a good look at me, because they were going to be seeing me again very soon. Getting cool again, isn't it?
Yes.
Looks like it'll be a short summer, doesn't it?
Uh-huh. Now, let me see. How much are you depositing initially, Mr. Nolan?
Well, my wife will be making the first deposit tomorrow morning.
Uh-huh.
It'll probably be a big one. See, we're buying a house, and so we're cashing in some stocks.
Oh, I see.
It's too bad we won't be leaving it in the account long enough to collect interest. I might have to withdraw most of it pretty quick.
Well, easy come, easy go.
That's right. Easy come, easy go. She didn't know how funny that was. And 2 days later, when I strolled back into the Chemical National Bank, the joke was all ready for the punchline. I had the passbook in my hand and happiness in my heart when I walked across the marble floor to the teller's cage marked M-N-O. I caught a glimpse of the bank guard's dark blue uniform. He looked fat and lazy. I stepped up to the window and started to say hello to my girlfriend of the day before. But then I remembered I had a withdrawal slip to make out first. So I smiled apologetically and went to the glass-top counter in the center of the room. I copied the number from the passbook and filled out the amount. $20,000. No, I wasn't going to withdraw at all. I was smarter than that. All that bread going in and out so fast, that would attract too much notice. I was going to chip away at it, a piece at a time.
Oh, hello. I see you didn't waste any time.
Nope. Got to get that deposit down today.
Uh-huh. 20,000. Well, I'm sure you'll want a bank check for that, won't you?
Yeah, I'd better. I wouldn't want to walk around with that much cash.
Oh, one moment. I have to see an officer.
Take your time.
Mr. Nolan?
Yes?
I'm Bill Harkness, assistant manager. Would you mind stepping into my office a moment?
What for?
Oh, it's just a technical matter regarding your account.
Why, what's the matter with my account? The money's on deposit, isn't it? It says so in my passport.
Oh, yes. Everything's in order. But you see, when any large withdrawal is made, we're required to fill out certain forms.
Well, I never heard of anything like that.
It won't take long, I promise you.
Well, okay.
This way, please. Now, if you'll sit right here, I'll have the form in just a moment.
Well, I'd waited almost a month already for this, so I figured I could wait another few minutes. The only thing is, I didn't realize what I was really waiting for until the door opened and Harkness returned. This time he had another man with him, and a woman who I supposed was his secretary.
Sorry to have been so long, Mr. Nolan.
Well, that's okay. Just let me get my check and get out of here. I've got things to do.
What sort of things, Mr. Nolan?
Oh, I didn't get your name.
I'm Lieutenant Whalen. Police?
Police? Now, wait a minute. Are you implying that I'm doing something illegal by withdrawing money from my own account?
You're doing something illegal, all right, Mr. Nolan, so why don't you tell us all about it?
Listen, if this is an arrest, I'd like...
Sure, I know. You've got rights. You don't have to say anything to incriminate yourself.
Well, I've got a few things to say, let me tell you.
And who are you?
What's the matter, Jerry? Don't you know your own wife? Your own baby?
No, wait a minute. My name is Nolan. John Nolan, and I can prove it. I've got a driver's license here. Look at it.
And I'm Myrna. Your own loving wife, Jerry. How come you don't recognize me?
I know why, Mr. Nolan. Because you really are John Nolan, and the real Jerry Horton is dead. Killed in that train wreck.
I should have guessed it the first time you called me. You imitated Jerry's voice, okay, and you always talked low. But I should have known you weren't my husband.
You took his wallet. That's how you knew how to reach his wife. And Mr. Horton must have told you about his insurance policy.
But how did it happen? How did you find out?
It was the autopsy. It was when they dug up the body again and proved that it was my husband.
It was the teeth that did it. And that's how we identified the body, by the dental work.
As soon as the insurance people paid me that money, I knew that it had to be Jerry in that coffin, and that it was going to be somebody else in this bank.
We told Mrs. Horton to go along with you until you actually wrote that withdrawal slip. And that's all the evidence we need, friend.
Well, you can't blame a guy for trying, can you? So I guess the money is all yours, Mrs. Horton. Myrna. Congratulations.
Listen, you may not believe this, but I'd give half this money to have Jerry back.
Of course, the moral of our story is that crime doesn't pay, even if the insurance companies do. And now you see why we don't recommend our hero's method of getting rich. Because now, Mr. Nolan is going to be going somewhere that boasts no champagne, no fancy cars, and very little change of wardrobe. I'll be back shortly. We have to admit that there's something fascinating about confidence games. They say that the essential ingredient of a good swindle is to play upon the greed of the victim. So the next time someone offers you a way to make an easy dollar, make sure you're not dealing with the wrong man. Cast included Michael Tolan, Vicki Vola, Gilbert Mack, Mary Jane Higbee, and Robert Dryden. The entire production was under the direction of Hyman Brown. And now, a preview of our next tale.
What do you have in the pet carrier box?
I hate to tell you, but...
Oh, dear, not again.
I'm afraid so.
Oh, you are so careless with pets, Hugo. There's 4 cats dead already this year. You'll want to bury this one out by the roses, too.
If I may.
Well, it's getting a wee bit crowded, but I'm sure you'll find a nice little spot. What happened to that pussycat of yours, Hugo?
She had an accident.
Oh, what sort of accident?
To tell you the truth, she sort of lost her head.
Oh, you leave your door open and your poor little cat rushes out into traffic, particularly on that busy street you live on. What do you expect? Well, dear, you'd better hurry. It's getting dark.
Yes, that's what I was waiting for.
This is E.G. Marshall inviting you to return to our Mystery Theater for another adventure in the macabre. Until next time, pleasant dreams. Come in. Welcome. I'm E.G. Marshall. I'm sure you will agree that almost every religion holds that the soul is immortal and recognizes a life after death. However, we're going to be telling you about people who believe in reincarnation, and they have a somewhat different approach to immortality. Those who believe in reincarnation are convinced that your soul lives on in another person's body in a later life. Some men and women even claim they remember bits and pieces of their former lives.
I see a gallows. It's a hanging. I can hear the creak of the gibbet and the rattle of chains. I hear them plainly. There are people watching. People dressed strangely. Dressed in clothing of a different century. Some of them are eating and drinking. They're enjoying watching a man hang. A man like me. Me. David Matson, who lives today. I see them. And they're hanging. And I know I was there. I was there.
Our mystery drama, Terror on the Heath, was written especially for the Mystery Theater by Murray Burnett and stars Shepard Strudwick. It is sponsored in part by Contact, the 12-hour cold capsule, and Anheuser-Busch Incorporated, brewers of Budweiser. I'll be back shortly with Act One. Are you a browser? I mean a browser in a bookstore? If you are, you will readily acknowledge that bookstores are sectioned off with books in various classifications. One of the largest sections has become the how-to books. On those shelves, the reader can find a book that will tell him how to do almost anything, from painting or sewing to making a harpsichord. Everything, that is, except a book telling a man how to explain to his wife that he's leaving her.
David, darling, I didn't know this was serious.
Very serious.
But whatever it is, we'll weather it. We've had quite a few ups and downs in 10 years of marriage. We'll handle it together.
That's just it. This is something that you will have to handle alone.
I don't understand.
Look, Jan, I don't know any other way of saying this. I'm going to leave you.
You mean that, don't you?
Yes, I'm sorry.
All right, David. Why?
I can't tell you.
You can't tell me. David, look at me. I'm the woman you loved. At least I think you loved me for 10 years. You're not going to...
I still love you, Jan, I swear.
Then why are you leaving?
Because I have to.
Have to?
You won't have a thing to worry about. I'll take care of you and the children just as if I were living here.
I just don't believe this whole scene. It's like something out of Alice in Wonderland.
Or Edgar Allan Poe.
What?
I think $2,500 a month should cover everything. But if you need more...
What did you mean about Edgar Allan Poe?
Nothing. Is $2,500 going to be...
You're using words as a smokescreen to hide the truth. We've never done that.
I guess there's no way a man can ever tell a woman he's leaving.
All I want is the reason why you're leaving.
That's just what I can't tell you. What are you going to tell the children?
Isn't that your job? You're the one who's leaving. Oh, David, this isn't like you. What's happened?
I wish it was something simple and less cruel, like being able to say, Jan, I've fallen in love and I want a divorce, but it isn't like that at all.
Then what is it like?
A horror story.
No secretary's going to tell me that Dave Matson's not into me. He'll see me and he's going to...
It's all right, Miss Manners. I'll see Mr. Anderson. Come in, Lon.
Well, thanks. Now, what's this business about your leaving Jan all about?
I suppose this couldn't be avoided.
Why would you want to avoid me, your best friend? What is all this stuff about horror stories and Edgar Allan Poe?
Oh, it's just a figure of speech.
Oh, sure. Just enough to make you walk away from what I know was a good marriage.
Thanks, Lon.
And you're going to tell me why you're doing it.
But only if you give me your solemn promise that you won't tell Jan or Cecily.
But that's exactly...
I know. That's exactly why you came. To find out and try to help. To tell Jan. But that's the one thing you can't do.
Okay. You have my word.
I'd like you to look at these photostatic copies of English newspapers of the 1850s.
Are you kidding?
Read them.
Hampstead Heath, terror strikes again. Vicious killer claims 8th victim. 9-year-old girl stabbed to death. Look, David, I don't see what these...
Go on.
Well, but these are just more of the same. Police baffled by Heath knifings. Inspector Gregory of Scotland Yard brands slasher as sadist.
That's enough to give you the general idea.
Yes, it's also enough to confuse me thoroughly. What the devil?
The devil, that's a good word. Ever hear of reincarnation, Lon?
Oh, no. Now, wait a minute. You're not going to try to make me believe that you
are the 20th century reincarnation of this madman. And that should make it obvious why I must leave Jan and cannot tell her why.
And you believe this on the basis of these newspaper clippings?
Not quite, Lon. There's more, much more. It was incredible to me at first.
When was first?
About 6 months ago. I read a book by Robert Ripple, a book that was a factual account of the lives of 3 notorious criminals of the 19th century. I was impressed by the writing and by the author, an assistant curator of the 19th century wing of the Museum of English History. There was one criminal in particular that fascinated me. I somehow felt I knew him.
This Hampstead Heath knifer?
Right. And that was when I had the first dream.
Dream?
Yes. I had a few drinks with Bob Ripple before coming home, and we talked about some changes. And I dreamed I saw Hampstead Heath quite clearly. It's really a forest, you know. And then along a walk outside the forest, I saw a woman's figure. I ran after her, and she turned to face me with her hands outstretched, not to welcome me, Lon, to ward me off. And when I saw her face, it was streaming blood from knife slashes, and then I woke up.
All right. So you had a nightmare. That doesn't prove...
That was only the first. They began to come more and more frequently, and in greater and more monstrous detail, with women and young girls, and blood, and... I don't want to open it up.
Well, all right. I'll grant you it's pretty rough, David, but still...
Okay, come on around behind my desk. What do you see in the drawer?
A knife.
Not just any knife, Lon. That's a switchblade with a spring, lethal and illegal.
Okay, when did you get it, and why?
I don't remember buying it, and I have no idea of how it got there. But I distinctly remember the first time I saw it there. It was the day after I had my face slapped by a girl I'd never seen in my life and been called a murderer.
What?
I was coming back from a lunch with Bob Ripple, the author of the book that opened the floodgates. A rather attractive girl in her early 20s approached us. I don't know exactly how it happened, but suddenly we found ourselves face to face and started to indulge in that ridiculous waltz of both stepping the same way to get out of each other's way.
Oh, I know.
Suddenly she looked full at me and hissed, "Murderer," and fainted right there on the sidewalk.
Well, she was sick.
That was what Bob Ripple kept telling me as he hustled me away. But why would she call me a murderer?
Well, I don't know. She's the one with problems. There's nothing wrong with you.
Lon, do you think it's possible that maybe this girl was was the reincarnation of one of this killer's victims, and she recognized me as this killer?
Oh, no, I don't think it's possible, but obviously you do.
It was the next day that I saw the knife in my desk.
Look, Dave, look, you're in a state.
How would you like to see a face, Lon? My face. My face on the picture of a 19th century killer.
What?
Come with me and I'll show it to you. Lon, this is Robert Ripple, assistant curator of the 19th century wing of this museum.
Ah, nice meeting you.
Pleasure. Bob, on our way to the room with the photographic exhibits, would you fill Lon in?
Glad to. This particular exhibit started because of my interest in the three notorious criminals of the era. Naturally, I collected all the newspaper clippings, stories, drawings, and photographs I could find, and placed them in the room along with other items that had germane to the collection. Now here are exhibited the daguerreotypes of some of the fabulous characters of the period, along with the criminals.
And here, Lon, take a look at this daguerreotype and tell me what you think.
Let me see. Well, good-looking guy, nice face. And if you want me to say he looks like you, I'll say it. There's a great resemblance. All right, who is he?
You tell him, Bob.
That man is Charles Mason, otherwise known as the Terror of Hampstead Heath, a killer who was hanged at Tyburn.
December 9th, 1841. I can remember. I can almost hear.
David. Let him go back. Let him remember. You can hurt him if you try to bring him back now.
I can hear the wind and the creak of the gibbet and the chains and the people shading their eyes against a cold sun, looking up to see what kind of monster was suspended in air, paying with his life the slashed and bleeding bodies of the women he had mutilated.
Good Lord, have you seen him like this before, Ripple?
Only once.
So what did he do?
Nothing. If it follows the pattern of the other time, he'll come out of it soon.
He's coming around.
I'm sorry. I guess I made a fool of myself.
You couldn't help it, Dave.
Well, Lon, what do you think?
Well, self-hypnosis.
What?
Self-hypnosis. You read Ripple's book. It impressed you. You became involved in the several hours you were here. You saw that daguerreotype that resembles you. And now you've hypnotized yourself into believing that you're a reincarnation of a murderous madman.
I don't blame you for not wanting to believe I'm the reincarnation of a killer like Charles Mason.
Look, what just happened was frightening, but not necessarily any proof that you're right. Mr. Ripple, did you write about the hanging of Charles Mason?
Oh, certainly.
And there was nothing Dave said that he couldn't have gotten from reading your book, huh?
Yes, that's right. Or some of the other books I showed him. There have been many graphic descriptions of the hangings at Tyburn.
Well, there you are, Dave.
I wish you were right.
Dave.
Yes?
I've thought of something that might just solve your friend's problem.
All right, let's hear it.
One of the most horrible of Mason's crimes was the murder of a young lady named Letty LeGros in 1837. Her nude corpse was found on Hampstead Heath, horribly butchered. Her clothes were never recovered.
Well, what are you trying to say?
If Dave could remember what clothes Letty LeGros was wearing when
But how can we check out whether I'm telling the truth? I can give some kind of a description, but you just said nobody ever...
You'll have to trust me, Dave. I believe there might be a clue if you're willing to give it a try.
Of course. Shall we go back to the gallery?
No, you stay here. I'll go fetch the daguerreotype of Mason.
Hard to see because there's a storm brewing. I see the leaves blowing and the trees bending. There's something else. A figure. A woman.
Oh, please. I mustn't slip or fall. He's following me. I know he's following. Oh, dear God. Help me. Help me.
I see something glowing. A dress. Yes. It's a dress. A long dress. The girl is holding it up as she's running. I have to catch it.
He's gaining. He's closer. Oh, I can see the gleam of the knife.
The dress. What
color was the dress, David? Can you see?
She's gone now. Gone.
The color of the dress. Was it white?
No, not white. It was yellow. A yellow dress with a pale matching scarf and a lace handkerchief. The handkerchief is white, but the dress is yellow.
There have been some fairly convincing arguments on the side of reincarnations. There are a number of reputable people who insist they can recall bits and portions of a life lived in another time. I know one young lady who vividly recalls a life as a waitress in Jamestown during colonial days. But I don't know of anyone who can recall being a murderer. I'll be back shortly with Act 2. Most people go to museums to view the works of art. David Matson took his best friend, Lon Henderson, to a museum to prove to Henderson that he, Matson, was really the reincarnation of a monstrous killer of the 19th century named Charles Mason. He showed Lon a daguerreotype of Mason, and Lon was impressed by the resemblance, but he demanded more positive proof.
Bob, you said there might be some clue. You could learn something if I identified some clothes that a girl was wearing.
I did.
Did you find the clue?
I'm afraid we did, Dave.
Afraid? That means you believe that Dave is the reincarnation of Charles Mason?
I told you the clothes that Letty LeGros wore when she was slashed to death have never been found. What I didn't tell you was that some 6 or 7 years after her murder, a fine piece of white cambric that had obviously been a lady's handkerchief was found on the heath together with some yellow material. Some historians were convinced that the handkerchief had been Letty LeGros and that the yellow material was part of a dress she'd been wearing. But no one could prove it.
Until now.
Until now. Until you just described a yellow dress and a white handkerchief. Hello?
Mr. Robert Ripple?
Speaking.
Oh, this is Mrs. David Matson. You don't know me, but...
The wife of the publisher?
Yes, that's right. I'd like to come and see you.
What about?
My husband. And the reason he left me.
My dear Mrs. Matson, I find this conversation most strange. You, a perfect stranger, calling me to discuss your marital problems? Why in the world would you believe that I would be...
I was told to call you.
By whom?
Lon Henderson.
Well, I can't understand why Mr. Henderson referred you to me.
Well, because he's our best friend, and I badgered him into distraction. He finally gave me your name as the one...
He also has the information I have.
That's all I want.
Tell Mr. Henderson I find his putting you on to me cowardly.
Oh, Mr. Ripple, please.
I have no intention, Mrs. Matson, of seeing you or discussing your husband and his actions at any time, now or in the future.
I must thank you, Mr. Ripple, for your courtesy and showing me so much of your part of the museum.
Oh, not at all, Mrs. Larson. When the curator called and told me you were interested in becoming a patron of the museum, it was only natural we should try to show you the sort of things in which we spend your money.
Well, and you've impressed me, very much so.
If you don't think me impertinent, Mrs. Larson, how much so? Did you have any specific sum for a contribution in mind?
Not precisely. I really need more information. Now, I must return to Boston later today, so... Well, I just want to thank you for making time for me in your busy schedule.
Pleasure.
Oh, really? This picture...
Daguerreotype, Mrs. Larson.
Well, whatever. Now, this man, he looks so familiar. Who's he?
A notorious killer. A man named Charles Mason who was hanged in 1841. Now, if we could move on.
Just a moment. Now, this may seem a somewhat strange request, but I would like this daguerreotype.
I beg your pardon?
I'd like to purchase or let me say, I would make a substantial bequest to the museum if I could have this picture.
And why would you want that particular picture, Mrs. Larson? I take it no other will do?
Well, surely I don't have to explain.
No,
if
but
I
you
just
do. Guard. Guard.
What are you doing? What?
Calling a guard to escort you out of the building, Mrs. Matson.
Why are you...
And I'd advise you not to make a fuss. Because if you so much as utter another syllable, I'll call the police and have you arrested for impersonating a donor when you had no such intention. Now get out of here.
I could help you, Mrs. Matson, but as I told you before, Mr. Henderson has been on the golf course all afternoon.
But I told you to get a message to him that it was a matter of life and death.
Well, we have tried, Mrs. Matson. I don't know why he hasn't called or even if he received
All right.
the message.
Now listen, tell him I'm coming out to see him, and he should wait there for me no matter what happens. It was exactly the face of David. I've got to find Lon. He's trying to avoid me. It's too dark now for him to be out on the golf course. Oh, ouch. Oh, there's gravel. Should have remembered to change my shoes. I think I'll walk on the grass. Who's that? Is there anyone there? I know you're behind that bush. And I'm not in the mood to play any stupid games. Go on me! I've got a knife! Oh, help!
Oh, Jan, do you realize that guy could have killed you?
I don't know. I don't know why he came at me. But I'm very glad you got there when you did.
Well, I didn't. I missed catching him. Didn't you see his face?
No, he came up from behind me. He circled around the bushes.
Oh, I see. Do you think you should stay in this house alone?
Well, why not? It's my own home.
But, Jane, you're not completely recovered.
I appreciate your concern. They'd never have let me out of the emergency room at the hospital if they didn't think I was okay. Your arm is bandaged. It doesn't bother me at all, but you do.
Me?
Why did you send me to Ripple?
Oh. Jan, how much do you know about reincarnation?
You mean the belief that your soul lives on in someone else's body after you die?
Yes.
Well, what's all that got to do?
No, wait. David's involvement with Ripple's book has somehow convinced him that the soul of this 19th century killer, Charles Mason, was in his body.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
Yes. That's what I thought, too.
Thought? Then you believe
Jan,
now
please. After reading Ripple's book, Dave told me he felt strangely familiar with all the events that related to Charles Mason. He said he felt as if he'd almost lived them. He went to the museum to talk with Ripple about this strange phenomenon, and then he saw the picture.
And?
Well, you saw it. Can you deny that...
You allowed a resemblance to convince you that David was the reincarnation of a 19th century criminal? I refuse to believe it.
There's more, Jan.
Nothing that you can say will convince me. Reincarnation of... Listen, people have been arguing about whether there really is such a thing as a soul for centuries.
Now listen to me. David looked at that picture and went into some sort of a trance. He recalled actual scenes and incidents from more than 100 years ago.
David is a bright man with a vast store of knowledge. His subconscious must retain his readings from hundreds of books and manuscripts. And then because of some quirk and his vivid imagination, he's able to recall it.
I know. I felt the way you did, and I brought up the subject of self-hypnosis. It was then that David described the clothing of one of Mason's victims. And that's one thing he couldn't have read or heard anywhere.
Then you must believe that David was right to leave me.
Well, he loves you. What else could he have done?
Trusted that love, trusted our years together, trusted the strength that's made our marriage work, and told me the truth and tried to work it out together.
Well, how do you go about working something like this out? If David really is
I'm not going to consider that possibility.
You have to.
Why?
Because of that bandage you're wearing on your arm.
Bandage? What's that?
Somebody went after you with a knife.
I know.
And why would anyone want to slash you?
I don't know. We live in a violent world.
No, Jan. No, this happened at the club. This was no ordinary mugging.
What are you trying to say?
Look, Are you sure there wasn't anything familiar about the man who attacked you? Something that might remind you of
You are trying to make me think it was David, aren't you? You are trying to make me say it was David. You think it was David, don't you?
Jan, look, please, we have
Get
to...
out of my house!
Well, please be reasonable and...
I said get out, Lon, and I meant it. Oh, Lon. Oh, I'm so glad you came. Now, I apologize for my behavior the other night. There was no excuse.
No. I forgive you, Jan. I understand. But what do you want from me now?
To go with me to see Jason Beckwith and tell him everything you know about this strange delusion of David's.
Jason Beckwith?
He's a professor of Romance languages at the university, and he's also a highly regarded student of the occult. I shouldn't say student. He's an acknowledged authority.
Jan, have you seen today's paper?
No.
Then you haven't read the story about the woman who was killed in the park last night?
Lon, I promised I wouldn't lose my temper, no matter how many ridiculous things
Now, hold
you
it.
said.
It's not ridiculous. A woman was slashed to death in Hudson Park early this morning by a man with a knife. Now, that's a newspaper
And I
story.
suppose that you don't have a sneaking suspicion that that man with a knife might have been David.
You bet I have.
David is not a killer.
All right. Why don't you call him and ask him where he was last
He couldn't
night?
kill anyone.
Are you afraid to call him?
Hello?
Oh, David, darling, how are you?
Jan. Look, Jan, if you didn't get the check, I'm sorry, but I really have been bombed out for the past few days. I don't remember.
Bombed out?
Whether...
What kind of talk is that?
Look, Jan, I'm not the guy you knew.
Don't you try to tell me who you are, David. You're talking to the girl who married you.
You just don't know what you're up against.
But I do. I do know.
You know?
I know exactly what you believe, and I also know it's a lot of nonsense. Oh, darling, I want you to come home.
Lon should never have told you. He betrayed me and did you no good. I can't face you now, ever.
David, listen.
Well?
He hung up on me.
Mm-hmm. And what about last night?
He couldn't remember. Well, I guess he must have been drinking. Bombed out was the phrase he used.
Which amounts to admitting that he doesn't have an alibi for last night.
He doesn't need an alibi. David is not a criminal.
He thinks he is?
Well, he's getting a lot of support from some of his best friends.
Jan, please believe I fought it. You weren't at the museum. You didn't see and hear what I said.
And you haven't lived with David for 10 years. You think you can ever know David as I do?
Oh, well, how can I answer that?
Oh, don't try. Just come along with me and keep the appointment with Professor Beckwith.
It's not unusual for a wife to believe in her husband. It's also not too startling to find that a husband doesn't believe in himself. However, it's both strange and frightening to find a wife that seems to be willing to reach back into the past to prove her husband's innocence. I'll be back shortly with Act 3. The power of love against the power of death. The power of good against evil. Most of us like to believe that good will triumph, but very few of us are ever asked to put our belief to the acid test. Janice is doing just that. She refuses to believe the evidence that her husband David is the reincarnation of a 19th century killer. And she and her husband's best friend have come to an appointment with an expert on reincarnation and the occult.
Remarkable. Most interesting. In fact, one of the most remarkable stories I've ever heard.
Professor, you can take my word for it. I saw just what I told you. Nothing came from my imagination.
My dear Henderson, do stop calling me professor, and do stop being so defensive. I know you told me the truth.
You don't mean you believe David is a reincarnation of that killer?
My dear Mrs. Matson.
Jan.
My dear Jan, before I can answer that question and before you panic,
You have to understand more about the whole theory of reincarnation.
That's why we're here.
Now, reincarnation is part of some, but not all, Oriental religions. The belief that the soul needs to be reborn. And final liberation and release from this need is the highest possible achievement.
But why is there a need to be reborn?
Because of impurities in the soul.
Oh, or sin, Professor? I'm sorry, Mr. Beckwith.
The final liberation of the soul, Henderson, is possible only for a human being who has attained purity of thought.
And if one doesn't have this purity of thought?
Then a new life is generated from an old, just as a new candle is lighted from an old one.
A new life, you said?
That's right.
Completely new and completely different? Trying perhaps to rid yourself of impurities?
Possibly.
Well, then, how do you account for the almost total recall that Dave had for the events and crimes connected with Charles Mason?
One explanation would be that he remembers them.
But if David were striving for a new life...
I didn't say there wouldn't be traces and memories of another life. And I believe David has surfaced these memories. But that doesn't necessarily prove David Matson is the reincarnation of Charles Mason.
Well, how else could Dave have known about it?
He could have experienced the things he recalled as a spectator.
Oh, no way, Beckwith. I was in the museum and you weren't. I saw and heard a deep emotional involvement on Dave's part. He was no spectator.
Henderson, you've just put your finger on the single most significant bits of evidence in this whole strange history. In fact, it's the cornerstone of a theory I'm beginning to form.
Come on, Lon.
Now, look, I feel like a criminal.
Now, don't be silly.
But I'm setting David up. He thinks he's going to see me, and wait till you see the look he gives me when you walk into his office.
Come on.
Where are you going?
We're going in the back way.
Oh.
If I pass the desk, the receptionist will phone David.
Oh, you know, Jan, you're really something else. I just hope that
Just
David...
let me worry about David, Lon.
All right, Dave, I'm sorry we used the back door, but...
It was
Jan...
my idea.
Jan, why didn't you call to tell?
David, you look awful. You look so tired. You know, you could use a vacation up at the lodge. We could...
Jan, how I wish I could... That it was as simple as that. I'd love to go away with you for a while, just the two of us.
Well, we can't.
What? I thought...
I mean, we've got some work to do first.
Work?
Yes, on your head. Now, listen.
Lon, what is it?
She's your wife, and she's great. And she has met with Professor Jason Beckwith, and he's agreed to work out an experiment.
What kind of an experiment?
Well, I think Jan had better explain it, since she's also going to be part of it.
Sorry, Jan. It sounds too risky.
But, darling, I've told you. It's a controlled experiment.
Who's controlling it? Beckwith?
Yes, and Lon will be there, too.
The plain truth, Jan, is that I'm afraid.
Well, of course. And you're afraid to come home, and you're afraid to see me alone, and you're afraid to face the night. Is that the way you want to live for the rest of your life?
I may have to.
But don't you see? The experiment offers us a way out. I know you're not Charles Mason in any way.
The way you say it, you almost make me believe it.
Well, it's true. So trust me.
Oh, I trust you. It's me I'm worried about. How's your arm?
Oh, it's much better. You can see it's out of the sling.
The police haven't found who attacked you yet.
They're working on it. Now, when do you want me to arrange for this?
You're badly hurt.
Now, it's just a surface cut. Now, listen, David, darling.
Excuse me. I'll be back in a moment. I'm not feeling...
David?
I'll be with you in a minute, Jan.
Lon, go after him.
What?
Go on, hurry. David. Oh, darling, don't.
Put that gun down, Dave.
Don't.
David. Why did you grab my hand, Lon? Why didn't you let me kill myself?
Because that's no answer.
You asked about the alternative, and this is the one that takes care of everything.
Are you sure about that?
What? Who are you?
This is Jason Beckwith, darling. We sent for him after
your stupidity.
I knew exactly what I was doing, and I knew why.
Then explain it to us.
I don't have to explain anything.
You don't find it difficult to believe that the soul of a man dead more than 100 years has been reborn in your body?
It's been pretty well proven to me.
And because you're afraid of the soul of this murderer will force you into killing your wife or some other women, you decided to kill yourself.
That's about it.
And what happens to the immortal soul?
What?
I asked, what do you think will happen to that soul that didn't die on the gallows at Tyburn in 1841? What happens when David Matson blows his brains out? What happens to that soul?
I don't know.
Think about it. Does it go on to inhabit another body and continue killing?
I wouldn't know that. Do you?
No, but I'd like to try and find out if you'll help me and go along with the experiment I have in mind.
You want to go ahead with this, Dave?
Yes.
Okay. But I'm under orders to inform you that this will be the last experiment into the past conducted on these premises.
And the professor's briefed you on what we hope to accomplish here tonight?
No, not completely. I assume it's a continuation of your trips into the past.
With some additions, Mr. Ripple.
Those marbles you have in that bag?
Right.
Interesting. I assume they're going to play some part in the proposed experiment.
Oh, they are. As will the clothing I have in this box.
Is that a knife?
It is.
With a sharp blade?
As sharp as I could get it.
And don't you think that...
I believe that on the top floor of this museum, there's a long, narrow corridor which runs the length of the building.
Correct. Connects two rarely used storerooms. I must warn you, it's probably very stuffy up there.
Is there a window we can open?
Well, yes, but...
Good. With the exception of Jan, I suggest we all get up there quickly. Excellent, Mr. Ripple. A corridor just as you described it. And now the window's been opened, and we're all gathered here ready to start.
I thought Jan was... She told me she had to be part of the experiment.
Oh, she'll be along later, David. There were some things we had to keep from you.
Ripple, is there any way you could light this corridor better?
It's fine the way it is. I'll move down the corridor. Can you see this?
Something shining.
The knife is quite visible to anyone with normal eyesight, Professor.
Good. Now, Henderson, if you'll station yourself about halfway down the corridor and wait there, and don't touch the marbles.
Oh, don't worry. Never was any good at shooting marbles, Beckwith.
Where do you want me, Professor?
As we agreed, wherever you think you'd serve the museum's interest best.
I think I'll stay near you.
Fine. Now, what we have is the corridor, perfect view, and along the corridor, gleaming knife. David, you stand on my right. Mr. Ripple, that puts you on my left.
Mm-hmm.
And we all agree the corridor is quite empty. Now, Mr. Ripple, may I have the daguerreotype? Here you are. Thanks. Now, David, look closely at this face. The face of a man named Charles Mason. And David, as I drop the marbles one by one on the stone floor, they'll start to bounce. And bounce, bounce, bounce back through the years. Listen to them bouncing. Bouncing down the long corridor of time. And the years slide by, alive with the echoes of the past. Do you see them, David?
I see them and hear them.
Shh, Ripple.
I'm walking along near the top of the hill on the heath, and I see a single horseman. He's silhouetted for a moment against the moon. He comes riding, and he stops. Ripple. He's under too. He thinks he's there. They stand stone still. The man and the horse. The bushes hide them. A lady. A lady. She's walking. She has a cape with a hood. I can't see her face.
Jan, be careful. Pretty lace and pretty face. I know help against sharp steel.
No, it's Ripple. He's got the knife. He's down the corridor. Jan, look out! I've got him. You're not going to touch him. The window, Dave. Watch the window.
Dave, there's a knife!
Help! Hold me!
Robert Ripple was pure evil.
He was also Charles Mason, wasn't he?
Perhaps. Perhaps he just saw an opportunity to destroy a good man when he discovered that daguerreotype and realized the man in it looked exactly like you. He simply took a nameless photo and gave it a name.
And gave me the horrors. But, Professor, isn't there any chance of finding out who the man in that picture really was? I'd like to know his real name.
Oh, David, my darling. Let's just live in the 20th century. I admit it's difficult enough, but it's our very own.
Here we are in the 20th century, and I have a little parlor game for you to play. Imagine yourself as some famous character in history whom you know and admire. Okay? Now, close your eyes and think hard and imagine yourself alive back in those days. And as you think, you may see some pictures in your mind that you've never seen before. Try it. I'll be back shortly. I find this whole question of reincarnation fascinating. But there's an area that's not very well covered in the books and essays that have been written. And that is the question of animals and their souls. Do they possess souls? And indeed, do they return in some form as some other animal? Or, which I don't like to believe, are those of us who sin greatly reduced to becoming animals before we can stop trying to be reborn? Our cast included Shepard Strudwick, Marian Seldes, William Redfield, Alon Clark, and Chris Gampel. The entire production was under the direction of Hyman Brown. And now, a preview of our next tale.
They are talking.
But they're fine people, Mabel. It doesn't hurt us.
Well, some of them even think your wings are fake. That you just stick them on that way. That you're really some kind of a nut.
Well, let them think what they want.
Eberhard?
Yes, dear?
Sit down.
Huh?
Please. And I don't want you to get upset or excited or anything.
Well, when did I ever get excited?
And don't interrupt, please.
Oh, I wouldn't think of it.
Well, my patience is at an end, Eberhard. This cannot go on in one way or another. We've got to find a way to get rid of those awful wings.
We can't possibly do that.
Why can't we? They're embarrassing. They're expensive. They're useless. They're making us the butt of unfunny jokes from everyone in the neighborhood, and what's more, they're getting in the way, Eberhard. Eberhard Edwards, those wings must go.
This is E.G. Marshall inviting you to return to our Mystery Theater for another adventure in the macabre. Until next time, pleasant dreams.